Yeah.
What's up, everybody? It is Zach, the Dark Conservatarian, here on my secondary channel, Darkon Entertainment, to wish you all a happy holidays. Hope you had a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Hope you will have a Happy New Year, and whatever else that you celebrate on this fine time of the year. And before we go any further, I just want to formally apologize to Loudmouth Reviews, even though it is about 2 years too late that I am sorry, Loudmouth. I am sorry that I put you through the pain of me saying that my number one favorite Christmas movie, child favorite, is the live action Grinch.
Yeah. Never liked any. I personally dislike all the Dr. Seuss movies, all attempts to make them into a full-length movie. I mean, it's difficult to make like a short children's book into like a 90-minute movie. That's not an easy thing to do and do it well. But I don't think any of them have done a good job.
Right, I gotcha. But the biggest reason why I want to apologize to that is because in the moment there, I wasn't keeping in mind that there was actually one other like Christmas movie that has always been a childhood favorite of mine, more than The Grinch, actually, and that would be Tim Allen's Santa Claus. That would probably have to be my personal all-time favorite, but I say that with the caveat saying that there is one other movie that I like almost as much, but I realize is objectively better in its objective quality, and that being It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life is the greatest Christmas movie. Speaking of holiday gifts, have you seen Disney's stock price?
No, I don't pay much attention to stock
Oh, it's
market.
gone down. Oh, it's gone down the tubes. Bob Iger's like, no, where's my stock? No.
Hello, Red Feather and the live chat. Yeah, I will say, about the Grinch, though, even though that you dislike the live action Grinch, I think we can both agree that it's not near as bad as the Illuminations Grinch.
Honestly, it's only slightly less bad.
Oh, oh, well, teach their own, I guess. But I didn't even like finish the entirety of the Illumination Grinch. I just saw bits and pieces of it, and it was mostly in just the first half. We did not even like get to the shenanigans of where that Grinch towards the
Yeah,
end
but
of
it
the
doesn't have.
story goes stealing people's Christmas goodies and stuff.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a man kissing a dog's butt, so I got to give it a few points there.
It doesn't dabble in crude humor as much, but the thing that frustrated me the most about it is that it just really sucked out every bit of intimidation and true villainy factor out of the Grinch and the
Well, yeah, that's
Illumination
the
Grinch.
biggest thing about it, and it's really bizarre because Benedict Cumberbatch, the guy who voiced Smaug, is definitely capable of like a really sinister British voice, very similar to Boris Karloff, who voiced him in the 1966 movie. That is actually a very good casting choice, and yet his performance in it was terrible, and it's probably just due to the direction.
Yeah, maybe. Either way, I just did not really buy it. It just was really jarring to hear Benedict Cumberbatch do like a regular person's voice coming out of the Green Goblin himself, that being the Grinch in the Illuminations CG animated Grinch. And also, you know of where that you know the titular "You're Mean One, Mr. Grinch" song?
Yeah.
I despised of one that they played at in the Illuminations. I
Oh, it's total
despise the
fucking garbage.
Illuminations version of it.
Total garbage. I'm gonna
Like,
honestly, Illumination though probably they had their best movie since the first Despicable Me this year with Super Mario Brothers movie, and even
oh
that was
yeah,
not that good, but it was a perfectly serviceable kids movie. And what I think of that movie's success really shows is that a movie really doesn't have to be good to be a big success, but does need to respect the source material, and it did.
mm-hmm. Right. Not much. Not the same thing that you can say about the Lorax or the Grinch, even for that matter.
Oh no, the Lorax adaptation didn't took a massive shit on the source material. It totally missed the I guess it has a similar message because both have the environmentalist message, but the way they're told is so different that it really shits on the kind of tone that Geisel wanted with the original story.
Right. Illuminations, Grinch. The fuck is that? I guess
You know, 2018.
you are mercy to Red Feather. Just consider yourself lucky to have never even heard of the soul-sucking experience that is Illumination Animation Studios' version of The Grinch Who Stole Christmas.
Yeah. But
the thing I was going to say about their version of Your Mean One, Mr. Grinch, is the fact that in their version of it, they had like a child's chorus playing, singing the song in the background in a rather overly upbeat, kiddified manner, and they just sang it regular, like rather straight and, well, like I said, kiddified and friendly sounding. It just really sucked all kinds of nastiness and villainy out of that song completely. Like
the Grinch. I despise both of them for trying to give the Grinch a sympathetic backstory. That is such a betrayal of the original story, because the Grinch hating Christmas was just meant to be that he was kind of old and jaded, which was meant to reflect how Geisel was seeing the holidays himself. He basically was. There's a line in the book and the animated short where he says, "For 53 years I put up with it now." That actually is in there because that's the age that Geisel was when he wrote the book. It was meant to reflect his own kind of becoming disillusioned with the holidays. So giving him just like a sympathetic, sappy backstory to explain why he hates Christmas is an absolute betrayal of the theme that Geisel was trying to tell with this story. It was meant to basically reflect his own kind of jadedness with the holidays and his attempts at regaining the Christmas spirit.
Geisel was the first name of Dr. Seuss, right?
Theodore Seuss Geisel was his full name.
Oh, okay. Funny that he goes by his middle name. I mean, he's one of the rare people that goes by their middle name most popularly. But, hey, an icon was born. I mean, I definitely understand your line of logic right there. The thing I was going to say, though, is that I'm not even like talking about the backstory. Talking about their appropriate versions and iterations of the Grinch, of Your Mean One, Mr. Grinch song. Like the first version was just a straight up like old classic kind of low tone villainous song, and then there's of course the Jim Carrey version that just takes the weirdness factor and kind of cranks it up to 11. But at least it still has a nice like well, I say nice, quote unquote. It still has like a very good sense of villainy to it all the same. Whereas the Illuminations version just takes all matter of like villainy and intimidation out of that song and just turns the Grinch into like a childlike joke with the way that he's being presented in that scene while that the song is playing. You get me?
And the way he's just kind of like another citizen of Whoville. It's kind of like normalized and accepted rather than someone.
Yeah.
Rather than somebody who's kind of isolated himself due to kind of his disillusion and cynicism was kind of how the character was meant to play.
Yeah, that was something I was trying to point out to all the people that I was watching the movie with, and they just kept on poo-pooing away all my criticisms about that. I was thinking to myself and saying out loud, look at this. Nobody's intimidated by him at all. The fact that there is this many people who just confidently and friendlily, if that's even a word, go up to him like if he's just a regular old neighbor, just sucks out every sense of villainy and intimidation that the Grinch potentially has, and that the Jim Carrey Grinch, criticisms granted that you or Trucker might have towards it, the Jim Carrey Grinch at least like executed very well how a person might be intimidated of the Grinch as a character. But
yeah, I gotta give credit to like the makeup effects in that movie that Jim Carrey put on. They must have been fucking hell to like wear all that makeup every day. While doing that, and I do gotta give Jim Carrey the credit for that.
Right.
Well, was he isolated himself or was he ostracized? Well, I definitely say he isolated himself because in the original story, as soon as he comes back to the town bearing the gifts that he just stole, pretty much everyone just forgives him for it. They're like, hey, even though you broke into our houses last night and stole all our stuff, intended to ruin our holiday, you took all our food, so we'll potentially starve. You know what? Since you're sorry and you brought it all back, we're gonna let it all slide. That doesn't really imply that the Who's are like are like a town full of bigots.
Gotcha. But yeah, I just there's like a little bit of a double-edged sword of when that somebody is like that one guy who dislikes a movie. On the one hand makes you feel kind of special, but on the other hand it makes you feel kind of lonely, and that was the situation that I was in when I was watching the Illumination Grinch with everybody. Like, they thought that they agreed that Illumination Grinch wasn't as good as a Jim Carrey Grinch. They said it, and this is what they say, and I quote, Jim Carrey Grinch was a peak Grinch, but this isn't that bad. And I was
No, Boris Karloff is peak Grinch. I kind of like the way that Channel Awesome did his review of it. He did the entire review in rhymes. He starts the review saying, all the kids seem to like Jim Carrey's The Grinch a lot, but the critic from that Channel Awesome did not.
Yeah, I gotcha. I actually did okay, I have watched like the entirety of the original Grinch cartoon like years ago, but a couple days ago I actually gave it a good old rewatch with my adult brain, and after a recent rewatch I got a little bit more of an appreciation for it. I can't say that I prefer
I've
it
seen
over...
that program enough times over the course of my life. I probably could recite the entire prior series, the entire thing.
Gotcha. I'm not a fan of the Jim Carrey Grinch either. Looks like you're in good company, Loudmouth. So,
well, yeah, but beyond the whole Grinch, though, I mean, about the movies of 2023, and how many bombs there have been this year is kind of something to behold. That 2023 was the year that superheroes totally lost their box office power.
Yep, I think it pretty much solidified it. Although 2023, now I do got to say this though. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, everybody points that out as an exception when it comes to box office.
Yeah, it made money.
Yeah, but my thing, one of my thoughts as to why that it did so well, not just because Guardians seems to be one of the least tarnished as far as superhero characters in the Marvel universe goes, but also because Guardians of the Galaxy also has the advantage of being a space opera. Like, Guardians is not just purely a superhero movie. Yes, it's in the universe of superheroes, that being the MCU, but it's also at the same time a space opera. And considering that Dune is giving like a little bit of a revitalization, we might be in the midst of a renaissance very slowly of sci-fis and space operas right now, with the help of Dune, and hopefully soon enough the release of Dune Part 2. But because of that bit of help, I think that's part of why that Guardians Volume 3 did so well, is because it crosses over in the same genre that Dune does, that being space operas.
It felt Guardians 3 kind of felt like a message movie against animal abuse, a message I personally appreciate. Supposedly PETA really loved the movie.
Oh, real? Oh, man. You don't feel dirty because of that?
No. I'm an animal welfare advocate myself.
I gotcha. Just I know that you've had.
I mean, I'm very much against abusing animals, so I appreciated this movie, kind of its message on how terrible animals are often treated in labs.
Right. Supposedly, like according to Critical Drinker, Blue Beetle was actually not as bad as he thought it was going to be.
Blue Beetle was yeah, it wasn't a bad movie, but it just felt very been there, done that. If it had come out 10 years earlier or 15 years earlier, it would have really impressed me. But it felt like I've seen this movie before in so many ways.
That seems to be like the biggest problem with superhero movies is that most of them do not really stand out
No, they don't.
at all.
That's the real problem. There's just too many of them too fast. And DC has been a massive bomb factory this year. They've had 4 big flops that have total a loss of $500 million.
Oh, wait, a total loss of $500 million?
At least, probably more.
Oh, a total loss between all their movies. Okay, I got you. I thought you were meaning like per movie.
Yeah,
My bad.
that earned negative $500 million.
Gotcha.
I liked Honest Trailers renaming The Flash The Flop.
Brilliant. Yeah. I didn't watch that movie myself, but I believe that I watched YMS's review of it actually. And it's funny of how that YMS watching a review of YMS can just make the movie seem like such a soul-sucking experience. Like I don't think anybody really conveys it as well as he does of
he's a very good reviewer. Like I would never review the Lion King remake because I could never top him.
Yeah. But at the same time, honestly, if I watched that myself for the first time, I do not know if I would have had as much of a soul-sucking experience. I mean, I probably would have thought it was still bad, but the fact that he was able to convey such a soul-sucking feeling to me of just merely watching him review and watch the movie himself kind of conveys the message to me, yeah, this really is pretty bad. I mean, it's
yeah. What is this? And I like the point of what to do when your main star goes on a crime spree, which is true. And one of the big reasons why DC has been in such hot water on top of the whole shit with the firing Cavill and the reboot nonsense is because 2 of the stars of 2 of their biggest movies this year are unmitigated criminal psychopaths.
Right.
Yeah, Ezra Miller and Amber Heard highlighted 2 of their movies. 2 people whose off-screen actions have made them very unpopular.
Closest I've come is watching Into the Spider-Verse because my son wanted to watch them. They were all right, says Red Feather.
Oh, that was good.
Speaking of which, have we talked about Into the Spider-Verse part or 2?
Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I saw that movie. I really liked it.
Right. Oh, right. I forget. Into the Spider-Verse is number 1, and Across the Spider-Verse is number 2. And then there's going to be Across the Spider-Verse part 2. It's
kind of hard to judge it on its own because the movie essentially has no real ending whatsoever. It ends on a total cliffhanger, and
right,
leading into the 3rd movie whenever that comes out.
Oh wait, weren't you the guy who said that you don't want to review Spider-Verse 2 because of the fact that Spider-Verse 3 is not out yet?
I said something along the line that's hard to completely judge it. I said the same thing in regard to Dune Part 1. It's hard to because when it's essentially just half a movie, which is what they are, it's really hard to fully understand your opinion of it, even though I like both movies.
I get that, but there's somebody that I heard say that they refuse to say any opinions about it because of the fact that part 2 is in and out. And I just remembered of who it actually was. It was not you, Loudmouth. It was, I believe, the 3rd ringer of the EFAP podcast. There's Mahler, there's Rags, Fringy. That's what the 3rd guy is. Fringy is the guy who refuses to speak any opinions about Across the Spider-Verse because part 2 is not out yet.
Well, but Oscar Isaac gave an awesome performance as Miguel 2099 Spider-Man.
Really? That was Oscar really Isaac. Awesome. Oscar Isaac was voicing him?
Yeah.
Damn. I did not pick up on that little detail. Well, good job on him. I do gotta say, because we haven't talked about Across the Spider-Verse, I guess we'll talk about it now. Spider-Man 2099 was a pretty cool character in his own right, a little bit anti-hero-ish kind of a character. I also liked Miles slightly more than even in the first movie, for that matter. Gwen seemed to be like Spider-Gwen seemed to be the one with the main arc of this story anyways. It's like that they're stretching miles between both this one and for part 2 as well, but Gwen seemed to have her entire character arc all wrapped up in this one movie.
I was kind of annoyed with Peter's arc. I mean, I like that they had the line that teaching you gave me the courage to become a father. I really like that moment from him. But they need to come up with a better explanation for why he has his 2-year-old daughter with him during all this dangerous shit.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like a shitty father to bring your kid into a dangerous situation unnecessarily.
Yeah, and speaking of Peter B. Parker, I was actually talking about this with a few buddies of mine like half a year ago, and they were saying of how that they did not like the execution of his character. At first, personally, I liked him a little bit better in this one than the first one because I just, I don't know, I just find that loving father figure kind of role a little bit endearing, but at the same time, they go mentioning how I guess they're more versed up in some of the source material of Peter B. Parker, saying about how he wasn't as much of a dopey, doting father character as they portrayed him in Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. And it's I can understand that.
The first movie, what I liked about him is he's typically portrayed as a teenager, and of course he has all kinds of teenage boy problems. But now this is him as a man in his late 30s. He now has grown man problems. His wife left him. He's put on a little weight. His aunt died. You know, these are all like things that happen to you when you approach middle age.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it as much, but I can get if people have criticisms towards him on that. One of the things that I really did explicitly dislike about this movie was Hobie, aka Spider-Punk. Like, aesthetically, he was pretty cool, but I just could not stand the personality of that smug prick for the life of me. Such a smug, punchable face that guy had. Yeah. And just really looked down his nose at everybody. It's really annoying to me. And then not to mention that there was a little bit of a thing about him of where that it was implied that he might be some kind of almost Antifa adjacent kind of character. That bugged me a little bit, but not near as much as the execution of his personality being a smug, arrogant prick. Could not stand it.
Well, I mean, this is meant to be him before he really experienced the typical Spider-Man tragedy. If you remember, originally he was going to experience tragedy there, but Miles kind of prevented that.
Hobie?
Yeah.
I guess I did not know that little detail. Are you saying that once he does experience the tragedy, he'll humble up a lot more?
Probably. That's usually how it goes.
Maybe part 2 will redeem his character for me, but just for right now, it's a I can't stand.
I heard this movie was supposed to feature Japanese Spider-Man, but I didn't see him in the final movie. I'm kind of disappointed at that. If you're familiar with Japanese Spider-Man from the show from the 1970s in Japan, it's probably famous for being probably the least faithful adaptation of any comic ever made. Like, it bears no resemblance to the Spider-Man of Marvel whatsoever, other than having the same suit. Was it
supposed to be the girl who makes the mecha spider suit?
Yeah. Well, Japanese Spider-Man. He has big mecha suits, and he got his powers from the planet Spider.
Well, they featured her in Spider-Verse 1.
No. But Japanese Spider-Man is different, and they haven't shown him yet.
Is this? Are we thinking of the same character or two different characters?
Two different characters, yeah. Though she was kind of reminiscent of that because she was kind of clearly anime inspired.
Yeah, I gotcha. What was I gonna say? Another thing that kind of annoyed me about the movie. I mean, I gotta say that Across the Spider-Verse kind of placated to both the right and the left in their own kind of ways, but I still can't help but be just a bit annoyed of how they use the rest in power phraseology, you know?
Yeah, whatever.
I guess so. It might just be more of a nitpick and
I
not
mean,
that big a thing in the grand scheme of things. I will say that I did like the one part of where that the teacher was trying to play up the oppressed background of the parents of Miles Morales, trying to say, "Oh, we got a struggling oppressed black man living in America, and then we got a struggling like a immigrant," and then they both try to downplay it. The dad is all like, "My life was actually pretty well off all my life," and the girl was all
and
like,
she's like,
"I was
not really an
actually
immigrant because
raised in
Puerto Rico
America."
is technically part of the United States.
What?
And she points out that Puerto Rico is part of the United States, so she's not really an immigrant.
Yeah. There's that. I also like the one part of where that in the convenience store you have the Spot that is trying to commit a robbery, and he's just a little bit of a parody of the leftist looters of the last year or two in San Francisco that have this entitlement mentality to just loot whenever, whatever, and wherever that they want to.
Well, I
And
just saw him as kind of like, kind of they set him up as just kind of this villain of the week, this kind of character who just comes in as just someone for the hero to vanquish really quickly. Is a fun
yeah,
little villain, little villain, and the hero has kind of this goofy little fight with. But then he kind of turns into a much more serious threat by the end of the movie, and I didn't really expect that, and I kind of liked it.
no, yeah, that was cool. It works in both ways. That's a thing that definitely I think both Sitch and Adam like emphasize on is of how that a villain in the movie has an arc of his own. But I also like thought that scene with the convenience store robbery worked in another way of making leftist looters look kind of pathetic in their own right. It's all like, "Let me rob you! Let me rob you!"
Yeah, but I'm saying, so that was probably easily the best superhero movie released in 2023, and it actually was the most financially successful as well. It because per
Yeah.
its budget, it turned a far bigger profit even than Guardians of the Galaxy 3 did.
Oh yeah, it did in like a profit, right? Although I'm trying to remember of which one, like putting budget aside, which one scored higher in box office.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but it still made less money because it cost over $100 million more to make.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, 845 million. Damn. Last I checked, I thought it was just somewhere in the 600 millions, but I guess got up in the 800 millions. Guardians Volume 3 did.
Yeah, but
Whereas
Guardians of the Galaxy 3's profits barely outnumber Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumanium's losses. And if you factor the Marvel's big losses into it, then Marvel Studios at the box office lost almost $200 million in 2023.
Whereas Sony Animation gained money. Yeah.
Where Sony Animation gained money.
Across the Spider-Verse, 690 million. Okay, yeah.
My freaking God, was that movie stupid in some places. There's like this one scene. It's one of the dumbest fucking scenes I've ever seen in all of cinema, where they go to this alien planet, and there's people there that look just like humans, and they even speak fucking English. But the only difference is that they sing everything instead of speaking, and apparently they can't understand their own language unless it's sung.
What movie?
Except this one guy, and the explanation for that is that he's bilingual. That is the dumbest fucking thing ever.
Sorry, what movie?
The Marvels.
Oh, The Marvels. Okay, I haven't seen The Marvels, and I don't even want to.
But
I'm pretty much at the point of
that seems like a sketch from the Muppet Show, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm
like,
almost at the
is
point.
Is this a real movie? This comes across like I'm watching a joke movie.
I'm pretty much at the point in my life where that I just want to pretty much rely on YouTube movie reviewers to tell me whether that a movie is worth watching or not, because my time is too valuable for me. I've already had like too many like soul-sucking movie going experiences to where that I'm finding it less and less worth spending my time. I've seen Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and I've seen God, what's another recent snore fest of a movie that I've watched? I'm just gonna leave it at that one because of Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever would have had to at least been the camel that broke, or excuse me, the straw that broke the camel's back to make me realize, yeah, I'm just gonna get a before opinion before I watch anything again to make sure that I'm actually going in with a worthwhile expenditure of my time, and money too, for that matter, because
and
damn,
on top
movie tickets are expensive.
Marvel crashing, Disney's had failures in so many areas this year. Their shitty live action remake bombed at the box office. The total bomb in Asian markets with The Little Mermaid, and Wish was a massive bomb. And Wish may be, well, I'm not exaggerating, it might be the worst.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about that. Let's. How's it so bad, Loudmouth? Tell us.
It feels like an AI generated movie, isn't it? It feels like the same way like an AI image generator will basically just kind of like take aspects of various things and kind of just combine them together to form images. This felt like it was just taking bits and pieces, but how an AI image generator isn't really sentient. Whereas this feels like a non-sentient entity just kind of took bits and pieces from older Disney movies and just kind of spliced them together, but without any understanding of what made those older ones work at all.
Yeah, I get that. I actually watched a video of where there was a guy reviewing it that literally in his title he was all like, "This is literally it feels like an AI written movie."
Well, it wasn't literally. And another thing is the movie's message absolutely is fucking disgusting and promotes the worst kind of behavior to kids. Because in the plot of this movie, there's this King Magnifico, who basically runs this kingdom. Apparently, he's been like a successful king for decades, and all his people are happy. They seem like they're living pretty good lives, and he's kept the peace. So. And we're told, though we're not really given many details, that he had a tragic backstory as a child. He had a rough childhood, but managed to learn magic and eventually like become a ruler of a kingdom. So I'm like, shouldn't this guy be the good guy? But we're told then later. It seems like he's the kind of person kids should admire. But then we're told that he basically takes wishes from people, wish requests, but he doesn't grant all of them, and he gives a good reason why. He says, "Oh, your grandpa's wish, but inspiring the next generation sounds great, but it could have unintended consequences." And I'm like, that's a good fucking point, man. The villain of the movie was completely right there, and the movie's hero just starts whining like, "No, my grandpa wants it."
It kind of reminds me of one aspect of the movie Bruce Almighty with. Bruce Almighty, that's the name of the one movie of where that Morgan Freeman grants the powers of God to Jim Carrey for a while, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It shows the consequences of granting everyone's wishes, and it talks about why everyone shouldn't get what they want. But in this movie, it's just like, no, everyone should get what they want. My grandpa wants it. He's old. So fucking stupid. Know what I would have liked if King Magnifico said to Asha, "You know what, Asha, you're right. You've changed my heart, and now I'm going to grant wishes to everyone in the kingdom. Oh, by the way, 3 boys in your high school math class made a wish that they could fuck you."
Oh boy, that would have been an awesome line. Except even if they did not use the word "fuck," it would have been a little bit too edgy. But
Right.
the parallel that I was trying to bring up Bruce Almighty is because at one point of where that Bruce is like given the powers of God, he starts like granting everybody's prayer requests, saying yes to every single one of them, essentially. And because of that, basically nobody wins the lottery. They all win, technically speaking, but they all get back money that is like less than even the lottery tickets that they bought. It's only like $3 per person that everybody wins because God or the guy granted God's powers granted their prayer requests. It's like, yeah, if you grant wishes for everybody, literally everybody, without any consideration of the morality of their requests or the consequences behind it, then it's going to end up in disaster. Like, who knows? In Bruce Almighty, there might have been one particular person that participated in the lottery that actually needed it more than another guy. One
Yeah,
guy
and
who has like medical bills stacking up and all that stuff, and then you're also going to grant the lottery request of this one son of a middle class family that's living off pretty well and is on his way to like getting a car in a year because of his parents buying it for him or something.
yeah, and even beyond its message being really stupid, the way it treats the main villain, particularly the way the villain's wife just kind of dumps him at the end, is really disgusting. Because basically, he seems like a decent guy. He just seems a little bit arrogant throughout it, and then he basically reads this accidentally. He kind of goes into this magic book, and it kind of corrupts him. And then he starts acting like a really balls to the walls villain. But you could argue then that his later actions afterwards weren't really his fault, that he was essentially bewitched. But after he's defeated in the end, he's imprisoned for apparently in this magical realm for the rest of his life apparently. And his wife is just like, throw him in the dungeon. I'm like, you were married to this guy for decades, and because he like had one bad day where he basically dabbled in something he shouldn't have, you're just gonna like stand there and smile while he's being imprisoned for the rest of his life? What the fuck is this shit?
That is terrible.
Like, yeah, and supposedly earlier in the movie they were intended to be like a villainous couple, kind of like a villainous version of like the Addams family or something. That actually could have been really interesting, but I guess modern woke Disney's like, no, we can't have a woman ever do anything bad. Duh.
That seems to be the mantra that they are living by nowadays.
It's so fucking stupid.
Yes, Derpy Redneck, and his voice sounds beautiful.
Yes.
Red Feather says The Little Mermaid wasn't terrible, referring to live action, and I'm just
Little Mermaid was terrible.
I'm mostly like, the only thing that I hear good about it that is universally agreed upon is Melissa McCarthy playing as Ursula being a pretty good casting, and of how that she kind of she kind of revels in the villainy, which it's kind of ironic. We mentioned of how that Disney is living off the mantra that we cannot have any women be villains anymore, and yet they have this example. Did they really hold back on the villainy of Ursula in that movie, or no? Actually,
no, they didn't hold back on her villainy, and I thought she was actually the better part of that movie. But they made a few absolutely moronic changes to the original story. Probably the dumbest, and I cannot believe that they made this change, was they have her when she like sends Ariel to shore for 3 days. They say that it also affected her memory. That that basically Ariel doesn't even remember the conditions that needed to break to kiss Prince Eric. That is such a stupid change for so many reasons. For one, if Ursula can just modify conditions of the deal that were outside the contract, if she has the power to do that, why bother making a contract at all? Why not just cast a spell on her and be done with it? And two, it robs Ariel of all her agency and all her actions later in the movie. It was such a dumb change.
Yeah. I mean, everybody goes complaining about how that Ariel gives up on some of her agency, supposedly, in the original story of the movie. Well, in this one, they took it even a step further. Not only does she give up some of her agency, but some of her agency is completely taken away from her without her knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And but what else? Yeah, you'd also think that because Halle Bailey is a gifted singer, that the music would be the one thing they wouldn't screw up, but they found a way to screw that up too. Because if you ever listen to the Scuttlebutt, my God, that's like the worst thing ever put. I bet the animators who had to listen to that song over and over again to match the animation to the movements probably are in the nut house by now.
With the few bits and pieces that I have heard of that, it does sound like absolute dog shit. And even there are like a few like mini clips that I've seen of their iteration of Under the Sea, and it just sounds way poorly executed. Like with the original animated Little Mermaid, there was a whole lot of visualizations of some of the lines that Sebastian was singing, like
they're not
singing
even.
about
Yeah,
how there's like a
the
fish
new
who will
version.
be in a fish
No
bowl.
visualizations. It like don't match the lyrics to the song at all. It's a joke.
Yeah. Well, like in the original, it has the one fish that is owned by the boss, and as soon as the boss is hungry, guess who's got me on the plate? It shows the fish getting like his bubble popped and put on a plate. But in the live action version, they just have Sebastian like do a lower voice impersonation, pretending to be a fish that was owned by a land person who is suddenly hungry for his pet fish.
And what's also idiotic is that they have Halle Bailey singing the lyrics of that song like making it a duet. That's really stupid because Under the Sea essentially is a musical version of an argument that Sebastian is making, telling Ariel to not want to go up on land. So
Really?
it's basically just in musical form his argument to Ariel. So Ariel participating in the song is really stupid and doesn't make sense.
It really is, and really devalues the whole purpose of that scene. Like, if you're gonna have Ariel start singing Under the Sea with him, you're just essentially conveying the message that, oh, Ariel kind of agrees with Sebastian. Maybe she's having second thoughts. Maybe she doesn't really want to be a land person at all.
Well,
But really, the core of the story is that ultimately she does want to be a land person.
well, because they want. Well, the reason is because again, Halle Bailey is genuinely a very good singer, and they wanted to give her opportunities to sing more often. They even have her singing one song while she's under like the curse where she can't speak, and they just have her kind of like a voiceover of her singing a song. Well, obviously she does. Well, obviously she can't actually sing in person because they just like having her sing songs.
Okay.
But
I mean,
sorry,
was he trying to say that's a good or bad way of executing that?
Well, it's just kind of silly though that they have to have musical numbers there where they're not appropriate. I mean, because Jodie Benson, who voiced Mariel in the 1989 movie, she was a very talented singer as well, and they still only put her songs where they needed to be.
Yeah.
Like,
also, Red Feather. I don't know if we were one to like address this next live chat comment, or there's more that you wanted to say about live action Little Mermaid.
Some of the comments on the YouTube video of the Scuttlebutt are great. One of them says, the song is catchy like the flu. And much like the flu, you'll know you'll probably live through it, but you'll wish you were dead every second you endure it.
Good roast.
Or another one says, Disney's so obsessed with equity and inclusion that they made a song you can only enjoy if you're deaf.
They're so obsessed with diversity and inclusion that they even have to give bad singers a little bit of time to shine.
Yes, or another one says, thank you so much for this song, Disney. My brother, who's been in a coma for the past year, woke up from it telling me to turn that shit off.
Well, at least it revived your brother. Well, that's the one upside, I guess, to this song's existence.
Yes. And on top of that, like, none of the actors give good performances. Like Halle Bailey, like I said, is a talented singer. She is not a talented actress. Her performance in the movie was pretty flat.
I gotcha. Who knows? Maybe I'll get into a big argument with somebody in the future, and it'll like motivate me to like actually see the movie for myself, to give a first-person opinion on how bad the movie truly is.
It's bad. Well, one thing, it opens with a quote from Hans Christian Andersen, a line from the original book, and doing so kind of implies that they're going to like take more from the original story that wasn't in the 1989 movie. That's fucking bullshit. There's not a single thing in this movie from Hans Christian Andersen's original story that wasn't also in the 1989 movie. Not a single goddamn thing.
All right.
I would have loved a faithful adaptation of that. That, though, it would be dark and depressing.
Yeah, like the original fairy tales are like a lot bloodier. I can't remember the gruesomeness of the Little Mermaid, but with Cinderella, the stepsisters like literally cut parts of their foot off to try and get their feet to fit inside the glass slipper.
Well, one thing to
rather
understand about the Little Mermaid is why it was written. Hans Christian Andersen was a closeted homosexual at a time that was frowned upon, and it was meant to convey his personal frustrations for lusting over married men that he could never have any interaction with. So Ariel doesn't get the prince at the end, not at all. She's motivated. She's motivated to like fall in love, have the prince love her so that she could gain an immortal soul, which we're told for some reason humans possess, but mer people don't. And we're told that the only way a mer person could possess it is for a human to fall in love with them. But she fails because she couldn't speak. Oh, and also the reason she can't speak is because the sea witch literally slices out her tongue with a knife in the original story.
Oh yeah, that was the bloody part about Little Mermaid that I was vaguely remembering.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
And basically, and she's told there's no 3-day time limitation, but it's told that if the prince gives his love to another, then she'll like turn into foam and won't gain an immortal soul. So
turn into foam.
And basically that's what happening. He's about to like marry somebody else, and in the original book, she's given a knife by her sisters at the water's edge by the sea that the sea witch gave her, and said that if you kill the prince in his sleep, you'll be allowed to become a mermaid again and live out your 300 years under the sea. But she refuses to do that, and so she turns into foam.
Wow. And in the end, oh man, and everybody died. The end.
Yeah, there's a slightly hopeful note as it implies at the end that she could gain an immortal soul and is put on the path for it. So it's not that unhappy, but she does not get the prince. So I'd say the 1989 movie, the first 2/3 are a loose adaptation of Hans Christian Andersen's book. The last third of that movie pretty much has no resemblance whatsoever. It's where Disney just went its own path. And the remake obviously incorporates absolutely nothing from that book that wasn't also from the 1989 movie.
That was the same bullshit reasoning that they gave for Mulan as to why that they were going to be quote unquote extra serious with it is because
they lied their asses off because they didn't do anything of the sort.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, it just it did nothing but suck all the personality out of it, and even put a slight bit more of unrealism in the story.
Oh no! Definitely, the Mulan the live action version is more cartoony than the animated version is, which is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah. It wasn't even like cartoony in the way that we would all like it to be, and that being everybody showing emotion.
Right.
Like nobody was showing much emotion in that movie.
What
it was soulless.
Definitely the worst of Disney's live action remakes. That's the thing about the Little Mermaid remake. As bad as it was, the Mulan remake or the Dumbo remake are so fucking bad that they almost make it look good by comparison.
Right. I mean, that's one thing that I generally hear about Little Mermaid is that it's not as soul-suckingly emotionless like Mulan is.
Oh no, it's not. It's not nearly as bad as the Mulan remake. That if you're gonna get me to give any praise to that movie, they didn't fuck up nearly that bad.
Right. So, have you all watched the Jumanji movies with Jack Black and The Rock?
They're okay.
Yeah, I watched them both, and they were both all right. I mean, not much more to say about them. They're just dumb popcorn flicks that are mildly enjoyable.
Yeah.
Can't say that there's anything insultingly bad that I thought about them, though at the same time, there's nothing like that excitingly good about them either.
Pretty much, yeah.
They were, I mean, actually,
I was expecting them to be worse, so they were better than I thought they'd be, so I'll give them that.
Actually, there is the one part in the second Jumanji movie, or the Rock Jumanji movie, because technically it's a third one, because technically
Yeah,
these two movies are like sequels to the original '90s Robin Williams movie, I guess.
they
But
are. Yeah,
anyway, the second Jack Black slash Rob Dwayne Johnson slash uh God, I can't remember the one other guy's name. Kevin Hart, yeah. Kevin Hart movie is the one part of where that Jack Black character was all like, "Now I'm the old fat dude. At least last time I was still black," referring to how the one black teenager like put into Kevin Hart's body. And I don't know. I know that meta commentary can sometimes be hit and miss with people, but I burst out loud laughing with that. And it's all like, "Yeah, you still are black, Jack Black."
right. Yeah, that was a good joke, I guess. Yep. What other movies I can rant? Rebel Moon is one I wanted to rant about.
Oh yeah, Rebel Moon. Tell us about it.
It's one. It's a movie that's very frustrating for many reasons because I don't understand why the fuck on Netflix or would like force a 3-hour R-rated movie to be a 2-hour PG-13 movie. It obviously was going to ruin it, and it's disgraceful that they didn't just release the proper version from the get-go while they're doing this whole bullshit of releasing the Snyder cut later. So I guess so that they can get 2 extra views or something. I don't know. Because the movie as it is, you could tell that it was censored. There's some scenes that are hilariously bloodless. Like there's scenes where it looks like she's cutting off someone's limb, but there's no blood. And oftentimes the reason why blood in a lot of movies is CGI is so it can be easily removed.
Huh.
If you want to like show it on cable or something, you can just remove it really easily.
Kind of reminds me of one part in Avatar: The Way of Water, where the one whaler guy, he had his like arm stuck in a big metal cable, and then the one whale like pulls extra hard on that cable, and then the guy's arm gets chopped off. But it's so distant, the camera shot is, to where that you cannot actually see any blood as the guy's arm gets squished off of him.
Right. And with Rebel Moon is basically meant to be like Magnificent Seven or Seven Samurai in space. It was originally intended to be a Star Wars movie. Zack Snyder proposed it to Disney to make an R-rated Star Wars movie that was in the mold of Seven Samurai, but Disney turned him down.
Yeah,
So
I kept on seeing the name Rebel Moon and kept on thinking this is a Star Wars property, right? And then as time went later on, is like, oh no, it's an own sci-fi galaxy. Okay, that's interesting. This should be interesting. But I saw the
he
reviews.
basically retrofit it into his own galaxy, but the Star Wars influences are really fucking obvious. And it's a frustrating movie also because the whole movie essentially whole part one of it, there's supposed to be a part 2 out next year as well as the director's cut of both parts, is that basically is just going from place to place and kind of like putting a team together to like fight this like evil kingdom or empire or whatever. They're basically space Nazis, and that are harassing this group of farmers. I guess in that way the plot is kind of similar to A Bug's Life, kind of the way like they come in and try to say that we want to take all your grain, but then it's like, no, I'll go find bigger bugs to come here and fight.
Yeah.
They basically just go place to place. We learn about each character's backstory, and we see them do something cool, like either fight in an arena or like tame this like griffin thing or what have you. The problem is none of the characters have much of a personality. This team is all put together, but we don't see them bonding or in the movie doesn't take any time to humanize them. I don't know if the extended cut will fix that problem, but it's a huge flaw in the movie.
Right. Sorry, I'm trying to like get caught up a little bit on the live chat while you're talking about the movie.
Right.
Plus, I don't have much to add because, of course, I haven't seen the movie myself. But it sounds pretty boring by every opinion that I've heard of it. Like, both you and Critical Drinker seem to be... Well, actually, Critical Drinker is even more harsh on the movie. but both of you are at least in agreement that the movie has no personality and it's just kind of boring.
Well, I mean, it looks cool. I mean, I got to give that Zack Snyder because supposedly both parts have a combined budget of $166 million, and on that regard, that's pretty impressive. He was able to make two of these cool looking movies for that little money, given that the Marvels cost on its own $220 million somehow.
Right.
And well, I don't know how to grade it because I think the R-rated version, which coming out later, will be a lot better. It probably will be, but that really gives you no reason to really watch this current version. It's essentially just a 2-hour trailer for a better version that isn't out yet.
Can the same thing almost be said about the Justice League? That the whatever the guy Joss Whedon, that the Joss Whedon Justice League was a 2-hour trailer for Zack Snyder's 4-hour cut of it.
Essentially, but with that one, it's much more excusable given the kind of like tragedy and behind the scenes drama that led to him leaving the movie. And there it makes sense that if you're releasing a movie in theaters, wanting a PG-13 rating and only a 2-hour runtime are understandable decisions. You can fit in more runtimes and get a bigger audience in the theater. But if you're releasing your movie to Netflix, why do you bother? We should have just gotten the R-rated cut from the beginning.
Yeah. Damn, Hunt, Christian Anderson, you fucked up, bro. This is Night Shift. By the way, hello, Night Shift in the live chat. It's like I don't know. How and what way are you saying that Hans Christian Andersen fucked up as far as Little
I think
Mermaid
the
goes?
story is fucked up because like the original Little Mermaid is way darker than the Disney version.
Yeah. Era became a wind elemental spirit. The sea foam appearance was that, I think.
Yeah, I was like,
man, you guys are real busy in the live chat. I might have to like ignore you guys somewhat. I'm sorry. In order to pay attention to some of the conversation going on. Can't wait for the Daily Wire Snow White and the Evil Queen. I also can't wait for it to outdo Disney's live action Snow White. I've actually been hearing a bit about that. Apparently, Disney is doing a reshoot of their version of Snow White now, to where that they gave in and decided to not do the 7 original people that they were having in place of the dwarves. They decided to go ahead and do the dwarves, but now they just look like a CG abominations from the infancy days of a CG
really shows
animation.
that Disney has no fucking clue what they're doing. The reason why their movies keep losing money is because they keep shooting the movie with really stupid ideas, and then when it gets backlash, then they go back and then they do a bunch of reshoots, and so they essentially, with all these movies, they pay for 2 of them but only get 1 out of the deal. How about just like plan the movie out well from the beginning, only shoot it once, and then boom, you've kept your budget under control. Your movie can actually make money.
Are the Disney people like really so out of touch to where that they really think that, I don't know, 60% of the American population are a bunch of far leftist woke soytards or something?
I don't know, but yeah,
that's the impression I get sometimes with these kind of blunders.
Yeah, and the controversy involving the actress who plays Snow White trashing the original movie, unbelievable that Disney would hire this bitch and just allow her to trash their legacy. The original Snow White and the 7 Dwarves is the reason Disney is a thing today. In an alternate universe where that movie had been a failure, Walt Disney would be like a name animation historians knew about in the same veins they know about Chuck Jones or Tex Avery. But he wouldn't be a internationally recognized brand name that's one of the biggest companies on the planet. That movie is the one that started it all.
Yeah, apparently Rachel Zegler is be it of her own volition or people pulling some strings behind the scenes, is walking back some of her own criticisms against the original Snow White.
Yeah, I watched a bit of that with the whole interview she did with Halle Bailey, and it's hilarious because it's so obvious that both of them were coached to high heaven.
Yeah. And a Critical Drinker was pointing out of how that the leftist people in the media are trying to say that they're like both the same case as far as criticism goes with them. Like with the Halle Bailey, it was if mostly, if not purely, just because of casting reasons. Be it because people are like normies who are all like, I don't get the race swap here. It was highly unnecessary. To the most extreme people who are all like, who unironically just don't like seeing black people casted in a certain movie roles. Whereas with Rachel Zegler, it isn't even like just the race swap. In fact, the race swap thing seems to be like the least focused in thing about Rachel Zegler, because that's like the smallest issue compared. With Halle Bailey, the whole race swap thing was the biggest thing because there was no other thing attaching to her as a person with as far as controversy goes. Rachel Zegler, people were focused in about the fact that she kept on trashing on a pioneer of animation, that being Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah,
because it was too old style or whatever.
Yeah, it's old. Everything old is bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's the thing, though. But, I mean, I'll agree that Halle Bailey was hilariously miscast in this part, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter because the movie would have still been shit no matter who played Ariel. And the race bending was fucking hilarious, mostly because Ariel's sisters are of all different races, and I'm like, so basically, I guess in this movie's continuity, King Trident is basically just a man whore who fucks everything under the sea, which is funny. But at least with Halle Bailey, though, she wasn't stupid enough to go around trashing the original movie. She treated the original movie with respect, and thus all the hate against the movie went to Disney and to the filmmakers, but not really to her because of that.
Yeah.
But, which really isn't a genius move. It's really just basic common sense. The fact that Zegler thought that was okay really is a testament to what a moron she is.
Yeah. I just thought of something. I'm about to give some more invites out, like to what I think I'm gonna give one out to Night Shift, definitely, and I think West Savage too.
Right.
Just to liven up the live stream a little bit more. If there was like nothing more to say about this stuff, I did kind of want to like talk about some other movies that I more recently watched for the first time, or at least for the first time in a long time.
Okay.
Loudmouth, have you ever seen the live motion capture version of the Christmas Carol?
The Zemeckis one, yeah. What about it?
The one of where that Jim Carrey voices as the titular Ebenezer Scrooge. Yeah. What's your opinion about that one?
It's one I'm very mixed about because it does do some scenes very faithfully to the book. And in some way, some moments in it are done better than any other version, and a lot of other moments are done a lot worse. Like the idea of making the Ghost of Christmas Past, and a lot of other moments are done a lot worse.
Shoot, West Savage, get some headphones on or something so we don't have to suffer reverb. But anyway, continue, Loudmouth.
Yeah, I was going to say, like having the Ghost of Christmas Past be like a candle, that actually is like close to how he's described in the book. It's kind of described in a very abstract way. But then, like in Scrooge extinguishing him, putting like a candle suppressor over him was actually a good idea. But then having it blast him 100 feet in the air, it was like really stupid.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's this.
It felt the need to go into like cartoony theatrics just because it's an animated movie and you can, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should.
I'm just gonna like take a pause here on the criticism of that Christmas Carol. Sorry, Wes, I'm not trying to be like an asshole or anything, but I'm just muting you because you seriously need to get some headphones on. I'm not trying to be like an asshole or anything, but I'm just muting. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to be able to join your streams until I get any, and I've tried to order some at least 4 fucking times and it didn't happen.
Damn.
Okay.
Don't they have like
You're
a
having a lot
Best
of
Buy or some other kind of
reverback
electronic store in your town?
What's that?
I was asking Wes Savage that. Oh, damn.
Oh, damn.
Shit.
Have I met Wes Savage before? I haven't met that guy.
You might have. I mean, Wes has been kind of has been an occasional guest on my live streams before. I've like interviewed him before.
Yeah, I think I have. I probably a while ago.
All right. I guess Wes has decided not to stay on. Sorry, Wes. Sorry that it cannot work out at all. Like I said, I don't mean to be a jerk or anything, but it's just to have like a smooth running live stream. I don't want like a loud reverb on anyone's end.
Yeah, the reverb,
But anyway,
the reverb was really bad. On
it
his-
was. But sorry, Wes. No offense.
Yeah, that happens. But
All
audio
right, but
problems.
about the Zemeckis Christmas Carol, that's one of the things that really annoys me about Christmas Carol. Like, it tried to be so freaking over the top and zany in a lot of ways, and I don't know if that can be executed well enough in a Christmas Carol adaptation. Like, all I can say is that for this particular version, it just came off as rather stupid and just an immature mess. It's like if the movie was just trying so hard to be the next Polar Express, where Polar Express was trying to be like a wild, fun joyride with a lot of its action sequences, like, you know, the roller coaster scene on the train, as implausible and kind of dumb in its own right that scene might be. At least it was still fun to watch on screen, and the sound effects were really well executed too, in tandem with the visual effects too, to actually give you a little bit of a thrill ride experience. Fun stuff. With Christmas Carol, they tried to do that, but I do not know what exactly is the deal, but they just could not execute it that well. Could be because they dragged on too long. Could be because your suspension of disbelief is not high enough to actually believe that an old man would actually be able to take the blows of having to go as fast as he is need to escape the ghost of
we can
Christmas
accept
Future,
that
for
he's like a
example.
spirit in this version, so he's not like in his physical body. So whatever there.
All right, fair enough. But I don't know. Regardless, I felt like that the
But you
one
felt
chase
right,
scene
probably
with
immature. But there were
What?
other moments I thought were well done. Like I thought for the Ghost of Christmas Future was well done. Kind of him as a shadow entity like that was really good and very close to the book. And I thought like it, and I like when he pushed the horror when the Ghost of Christmas Present kind of ends his days of the way he turns into a laughing skeleton. I thought that was awesome because that scene is supposed to be really creepy, and it really succeeded
Yeah,
more than any other version.
I don't know. It just came off as I don't know. It was a kind of weirdness that did not work in favor of the story for me. It just I mean the Christmas Carol that you grew up with was probably like the Muppets version, if I had to guess. Correct, Loudmouth?
I mean, I've seen the Muppet version, but I've seen a few versions, and I've read Dickens' book. But
The one that I grew up with though was the Patrick Stewart one.
I'm not a big fan of that one. One thing that's interesting
Okay.
is oftentimes changes that have made into a bunch of adaptations have kind of like replaced the original story in a lot of different ways. Like for example, Scrooge meeting the Cratchits and eating Christmas dinner with them is something that a lot of people associate with the story because it was in a few adaptations, but it's not in the original story. He doesn't. He never visits them on Christmas Day. He doesn't. He doesn't talk to Bob Cratchit again till like the day after Christmas.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he tries to keep it a surprise. He sends them the turkey, and then but doesn't tell them it was him. And then he kind of like, I guess, just a prank. And that I have no choice but to raise your salary.
Yeah. He of course does eat with his nephew, right?
Yeah, he eats with his nephew. Yes, that's what he does. He does not eat with the Cratchits.
I will say that my one favorite part of the entire movie is probably the one part of where that his nephew is playing a guessing game with all of his guests, and one of them guesses an ass, and the nephews are like, "Well, yes and no," and then the next person is all like, "Oh, it's your Uncle Scrooge," and of course, there's like a later version of that of where that Scrooge walks in and interrupts the girl before she could guess Scrooge. I always thought that was kind of funny. Is all like an ass. Well, yes and no.
Well, one area the 2009 movie did really well, though, is after when he's in the with the Ghost of Christmas Future, and he's at the Cratchit's house after Tiny Tim has died. And one of my favorite moments is you can kind of see Bob Cratchit trying to keep up a strong grin when he's in front of his family. And Scrooge, of course, is in the room, but he's invisible, so Bob Cratchit can't see him. And then there's this moment where he turns and faces Scrooge, who obviously he can't see, and you just see all the pain that's in his face of losing his son, like all the misery that he caused this man, and it's all just put right in front of him. That was a really well done moment, and probably done better than any other version. That's why I say that the 2009 movie is frustrating, because it does some things very poorly, but it does a few things really well.
2009, is that the year that the motion capture Christmas Carol was released?
Yeah, 2009.
Okay, that's very helpful in referring of which Christmas Carol we're talking about. I mean, I get of how that works in theory, but I guess I just get a little bit too much Uncanny Valley vibes with how we get a close up of Bob Cratchit's face in that scene.
Well, yeah, that's the real problem. I don't think the technology was ready for the kind of animation style that Zemeckis went for in that, and it's just kind of pointless. Yeah. Using motion capture to allow an actor to play a non-human character like Gollum or one of the apes or the Na'vi makes sense. Using actors to replace them with digital versions of themselves is just kind of unnecessary. Why? Just film the actors.
Yeah, and that might be part of the reason as to why that I consider this my least favorite adaptation of a Christmas Carol. Like, I'm literally of the opinion that literally any other Christmas Carol is better than this version. Even the All Dogs Christmas Carol, I have more of a soft spot for.
You take that back. Come on.
I'm sorry. No. You'll have to fight me first, Jim.
The All Dogs Go to Heaven Christmas Carol is fucking garbage, man.
I mean, it's bad in its own right, but at least the characters had some amount of lovability in I guess, overly cutesy, childish kind of way. Whereas the characters in the Zemeckis Christmas Carol, I just found them all in different variabilities to be just rather boring, uninteresting, and unmemorable in their telling of them. I especially like the one thing that I hate the most about this Christmas Carol is how when it shows the past of Scrooge, of where that he like has his wife walk out on him, where they separate. See, every other scene, okay, I cannot remember word for word every single iteration of that scene, like the Patrick Stewart or even the a Muppet Christmas Carol version of it. But in this version, the thing that always bugged me is of how that the lady always referred to their marriage, their relationship, as a contract. And she doesn't call it a marriage. She doesn't call it a loving relationship or anything like that. She just refers to as a contract. And it's like,
together.
What?
I don't think they were married. I think they were just together.
Well, either way, it's like she just refers to it as a contract, and it's like you're just referring to your relationship with him as a contract. I have no reason to believe that you even truly love Scrooge. I mean, you're concerned about how Scrooge truly loves you or not. Well, here's the thing. I don't think even you love him that much. If you're just going to like refer to the relationship as just a contract, it's just it was so.
Maybe she read 50 Shades of Grey right before that.
What?
That was a joke. A kind of like a weird sex contract is a part of that story, and that was a joke I was making.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've never seen 50 Shades, so or
no,
even
it's awful. Don't.
Probably not worth it. I gotcha, but still, it's like I don't feel the love at all in that iteration of the scene. It just felt so vapid and empty on both parts. Like the only one person who should be feeling all vapid and empty as that scene goes is Scrooge, because he is too sucked up in his quote unquote need for money that he lets it prioritize over his loving relationship with his with his girlfriend. And his girlfriend doesn't like that. She doesn't like the fact that he prioritizes money too much. But
which is completely unrealistic. There's no woman who would leave you for prioritizing money.
Maybe it's like a matter of execution of the different variations. Like, how did the book actually execute it, if I may ask?
Actually, it's very similar to how it's executed in the book. Like I said, the Zemeckis motion capture version is generally very faithful to the book, even if it adds some kind of cartoony nonsense to it. The basic story structure is actually very similar. Like a lot of the dialogue is lifted straight from the book.
All right. I mean, if you like it more than me, then to each their own, I guess. It just, in my opinion, it's like one of the worst ones. Yeah. What's some other like recent Christmas movies I watched for the first time? I watched Fred Claus for the first time.
That sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I at
barely
least liked
remember. I remember being bored out of my mind.
Yeah, I kind of ended up dozing off a couple parts of the movie. It wasn't anything particularly too compelling or anything like that. I will say that I liked the way that it shown the world of the North Pole. Compared to another Christmas movie that I recently watched, that being Elf. Like, Elf just felt way too small in scale with the way that it executed the world of the North Pole. I
Right.
felt like.
Well, that's why I praised the Polar Express, because I don't think any movie did the whole North Pole Santa universe better than that one did.
Right.
I can't believe that movie's 19 years old now. God damn.
What, Polar Express?
Yeah.
Damn, I feel old now.
Yeah.
The one thing
I
that
got a foot in the grave.
What?
Yeah, I got one foot in the grave already.
Well, hope you're being sarcastic right there. You're only like in your 30s right now.
Yeah, but death comes to us all eventually. Yeah, exactly. That's why I love that movie.
I'm glad you got the reference there.
Yes. Everyone thinks they'll be the one to defeat me, but no one's escaped me yet.
How does that feel, Red Feather? I gotta ask you.
Yep.
As far as ages go. What was I gonna say? Elf. I thought Elf was kind of charming. I mean, I particularly like the parts of where that Will Ferrell's buddy, how he has this he's so spirited about Christmas to where that he just wants to like liven up people's lives, and he helps do that with the way that he decorates people's places, even though it can be kind of annoying to some people. Internally, there's still like some part of at least some of the people in the room who are all like, oh, this is the greatest right here. Put a little bit more Christmas spirit in the moment. Like particularly with one part in the store or mall or whatever it was. I do gotta say that one problem that I do have with the movie is of how too easily that the dad character flips as far as his attitude towards his son goes. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Like
Honestly,
one
I always
moment.
thought Elf was overrated. I never really liked it that much. I always just thought it was okay.
I think I am in agreement with you, Loudmouth. WatchMojo.com did their own top 10 ranking of Christmas movies, and it was mostly from the rankings and votes of other people. Like they did a poll asking people, what is your most favorite Christmas movie? And the number 2 slot was It's a Wonderful Life. You know what beat that out? Elf. And after watching
what
Elf,
morons
I
made
just
that list?
What?
They shouldn't. What fucking moron made that list?
Well, they were basing it off of people's votes was the thing, and I think that's the problem right there.
Well, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
No, I gotcha. Like there was some people things that were awkward about the movie, like I don't know. There was a few charming moments. I like their portrayal of Santa Claus and his nonchalantness.
Yeah, Ed Asner was great. Yes.
And I also like the
Rest in
old
peace, Ed
elf
Asner.
that raised Buddy for a bit. I kind of wish that they would have shown more of that old elf, but they didn't. Oh well.
Yeah, that's
What are you saying?
that list, and that apparently came from Public Opinion. Makes me want to side with Ultron. Remember, spends 2 minutes on the internet, decides humanity must be destroyed.
Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life. Beat out Elf. Or excuse me, Elf. It's a Wonderful Life got beat out by Elf. What the heck, people? You got
How
a
is that possible?
story. You got an overly simplistic, albeit charming, but still overly simplistic and kind of cheesy story about an elf being a fish out of water who like goes visit the human world for a bit and reunites with his dad in a kind of a cringe way, and has a bit of an arc with his dad that flip-flops, does a complete 180 just out of nowhere, versus a story about a man who had ambitions in life that did not come through, and it just all culminates towards the plausible theoretical end of his life, of where that he almost wants to kill himself. But instead of doing that, he's given visions of what life would be like without him, to where that it just rejuvenates his spirit for life again, and all in a bit of a Christmas setting at the end. It's a beautiful movie.
Oh yeah, That's a Wonderful Life is one of the greatest movies ever made. No question.
Yeah.
That's it is the perfect ambition. It's about a man who basically makes the right decision and seemingly is punished for them for a while, but at the end realizes that he really did live a wonderful life, and doing the noble thing it wasn't for nothing. That's a beautiful message.
Yeah.
Seeing all the people who were affected by him, the time, reminded of the time when he saved his brother's life when they were kids from that drowning river. And then when his brother saved all. That's a lie. Harry Rayleigh went to war. He saved the lives of every man on that transport. Every man on that transport died. He wasn't there to save them because you weren't there to save Harry.
Yeah.
Kind of all the positive impacts that you've had throughout your life that you forget about. It was an amazing movie.
Red Feather says it also remarks on the rich people trying to take things over. I get the anti-monopolization kind of messaging in that movie, but what I really get annoyed about is apparently there's some people trying to say that it has a bit of a pro-socialism messaging to it in It's a Wonderful Life.
There's not really anything political about Potter stealing the money at the end. That's not really a matter of politics. And it's kind of fucked up that he gets away with it.
No. The way that they're trying to say that it's pro-socialism is that at the end, everybody gets together to invest it into George Bailey's banking or whatever the fuck business, so as to keep him and his family afloat. And it's not a pro-socialism message. I mean, at the end of the day, the guy still owns a business. It's just that it was like if anything, it was a pro-community kind of messaging.
Right,
that a person needs to get needs their friends, needs their camaraderie with the people, so as he has a little bit of a support system. It's not necessarily we all got to collectively own these businesses. That's the only way that businesses can be ran or whatever.
Then there was this great Saturday Night Live sketch in the early 90s that did an alternate ending to It's a Wonderful Life. Had Dana Carvey playing George Bailey in it, where they realized what happened to the money, and George and all his friends ransack Potter's office and kick his ass.
What's the name of this parody?
I forgot what it's called. It's from Saturday Night Live from the early 90s. Basically, Uncle Billy's like, wait, I remember Potter's got the money. Let's get him. Then they all got George Bailey like, you made one mistake, Mr. Potter. You messed with me and then you left me alive. He punches him in the face. And then they kick him to the ground. They're all like beating on him and while singing, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing."
As they're beating up a guy in a wheelchair.
You know, they're beating the living shit out of him during the whole time. That's great, just because everyone wanted that to happen at the end and it didn't.
What the heck? It's a Wonderful Life is drawn out and in black and white. I do not know what Red Feather. I don't know what you mean by it's drawn out. Like, I think it was perfectly paced, and the black and white part of it adds to the charm of the movie. I don't know if this is.
Well, there is
I
a
agree,
color
though
out
it is a good movie. Okay, I don't understand your criticism in this chat comment. Then,
I mean,
Red Feather.
there is a colorized version. If you can't watch black and white, there is a decent colorized version, though I prefer the black and white.
Yeah, I do too. Like, I have a physical copy of the movie. It gives me the option of the colorized. And I was like, why the heck would I watch a classic in color as opposed to black and white? Like, that's the one and only way to experience the movie is in black and white, in my
That's
opinion.
how
at
it was
least.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
What was I
shot.
gonna say?
If they wanted it in black and white, they would have shot it in. I'm sorry, if they wanted color, they would have shot it that way. I mean, they could have.
I just meant that's why Elf may have won over it in that list you mentioned. Okay, well, the thing is, people in the general public, Red Feather, are like they can be a bunch of simpletons. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
Simple, dumb entertainment that is almost insulting to one's intelligence
Well,
can sometimes be perceived as a better quality than some slow burn, compelling drama.
Well, to be fair, Oppenheimer was a big hit at the box office, so not always.
Yeah,
That-
but
that
here's the thing. Here's the thing. You got to keep in mind the overly dumb, mean-spirited cheese fest that was Barbie. What won it out?
Yes, that it. Yes, like I said, man, Ultron was right.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some way that I can like mooch off of somebody's streaming service to watch Barbie just so I can see how bad it really is for myself. Like, I did not go to the theater because I did not want to contribute to the box office, and
Yeah,
it's a theater experience. I would not. What?
I still haven't seen it.
My thing is that being in the theater, I would have no way to pause the movie if I really need to take a break from the movie. I just have to sit through and suffer the whole way through without any pause or breather or break for it or anything like that. I'd probably be like overly animated in the theater, being like overly expressive and exclamatory about how much I'm cringing watching some of the scenes. And
I mean,
yeah,
it's a
it would
movie
have been uncouth.
It's a movie made for women, you know. That's kind of that kind of cheesy, mean-spirited attitude. Just kind of is the movie understanding its demographic.
Oh man. Nothing like a bit of good old sexism from Loudmouth the viewer. I'm joking, by the way, Loudmouth.
I mean, yeah, because it kind of just panders to its audience, you know. That's why it was successful.
Yeah. I'm a wham man, and I couldn't take it, says Red
Good for
Feather.
you. Well, very good for you, Red Feather. But
No one says there's no way I could sit and watch Barbie, let alone pay to do it.
But
yeah, if anything, I'd probably watch it for free just so I can fully form my opinion. But from so much that I hear about the movie, though, I think I can part and parcel bits of information about the movie well enough to determine that it's a bad movie, or at least in my point of view, as far as political beliefs goes, like the one overly preachy scene of where the one mother speaks the truth to power scene. There's apparently a text version of that speech that was posted on Facebook and gone viral and got shared around, and I read somebody else sharing it, and if it really is word for word what was shown in the movie, then I just gotta say, yeah, the movie is definitely over preachy, and I cannot see of how that any extra context of the movie could say that, oh no, it's not a pro-feminism movie, despite the fact that there is this one speech that they're trying to unironically sell off as a little bit of an inspiring thing for the viewing audience.
Well,
no,
from what
totally
I hear,
not a pro-feminism
it
movie.
seems to celebrate a relationship being broken up, and I think it was said it's a perfect breakup movie. If a woman hates her boyfriend, make him watch this movie.
Uh,
That's
that's
that was
one
the
thing that
best
kind of
movie
annoys
ever.
me is how this movie has become a litmus test for some women as far as whether or not a man makes a good boyfriend.
I,
It's like if your boyfriend hates this movie, break up with him.
uh,
It's like fucking cringe. I don't know which is worse. Which is a worse litmus test? Barbie to tell whether or not you're a good boyfriend material, or Trump to tell whether or not you're a good conservative?
oh, Trump. That's much worse. I mean,
Maybe. I
Trump
don't
says
know.
men can be women, and there are morons who think that posing him makes you a Republican in name only. What do you think?
We can only imagine such a world. That's so
Mostly
much
by idiots who
ridiculous.
don't know what words mean.
Yeah. Um.
What in
I,
words?
You know what? To be fair, I do not know of many like Trump supporters, at least in my personal life, that have completely flipped on their opinion of the minimum wage just because Trump goes saying in one of the debates in 2020 that, oh, I think that governors in each state should raise their minimum wage to at least $10.50 an hour.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe there's some hope in humanity, but I'm not so sure. I'm going to hold
Never have hope in
that.
humanity.
I'm not gonna hold my breath that much, but maybe it's something that I should like ask some people. I do know that there's at least one Facebook friend of mine who at least implies that he disagrees with raising the minimum wage, even on a local or state level.
Right.
Anyway, back onto movies for a bit. Have you ever seen Miracle on 34th Street?
Yeah. Well, both versions.
I haven't seen the 90s version, although in the 90s version, isn't the same guy who played as what's his face in Jurassic Park play as Santa Claus?
Yeah, Richard Attenborough.
Right. Yeah, I thought I recognized that face, but I haven't seen the 90s version yet. Maybe I can still before Hulu loses the licensing for that and before the holiday season is fully up. But regardless, I saw the original 40s version and I thought it was pretty charming. Although I gotta say,
Cute little holiday movie.
I cannot take seriously enough the the court trial part of the movie. It's like the evidence for this guy being Santa Claus is a shit ton of letters that were mailed to Santa Claus.
Yeah, the real
like,
problem with that is the legal ramifications of that ruling would actually be terrifying. If you rule that if the court rules this guy is Santa Claus, then he'd probably have a copyright to all the use of Santa imagery. Thus, he'd be like the richest man in the world every Christmas season.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess another thing that ties into that aspect of it is that it's supposed to show that Santa Claus is such a good person that he would not exploit it like that. Maybe.
Right? But they don't think. Let's see. I took a black pill from Stoicism, which was
Darkon and Loudmouth, I took a black pill from Stoicism, which was the simple fact that humans and other sapioids can be just as capable of evil as they can be good, and they must be incentivized to do either one.
You are correct,
All right.
100%. But
But I thought the movie was charming enough. I particularly liked their execution of the Santa Claus personality. Like I see a whole lot of Kurt Russell Santa Claus in that particular Santa Claus. I wonder if Kurt Russell actually watched Miracle on 34th Street a lot, and that's where he got some of his inspiration for the Santa Claus personality. It's just this.
Are all,
this Santa
80s action, are all 80s action stars now going to be Santa Claus in movies? They need to make a movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Santa Claus.
Oh, good Lord, no. No, thank you.
Sylvester Stallone. Stallone is Santa Claus, too.
No, thanks.
I got to deliver this gift. It's a Christmas time, huh?
I cannot imagine a good execution from Stallone or Schwarzenegger for Santa Claus. Kurt Russell, I don't know.
Yeah, he's not Christmas Chronicles.
Maybe I don't know if I could imagine in a pre-Christmas Chronicles world of what my opinion would have been towards that idea. But because I've seen it on screen, I guess I'm a little bit biased towards the idea. But regardless, it's still executed pretty well. But just what I was about to mention was just the way that both Santa Clauses, they aren't even like a real fish out of water. Oh, I don't know how to handle these people kind of situation. They're just Santa Claus is being Santa Claus and being rather nonchalantly willing to like blab out about it. And not only that, they also are somewhat introduced well enough to the real world in order to know how to navigate it. It's not like that they don't know how to navigate it like a Buddy in the Elf movie. They both know their way around. They talk to people rather almost normal like and go talking about how they are Santa Claus. And other people are just all like, what are you talking about, crazy person? I'm Santa Claus.
Well, I kind of like that that Kurt Russell's Santa Claus. Every time they countered someone, he'd basically always talk to them like he knew everything about him because he's Santa Claus. He would. He knows everybody.
Yeah, and it's that nonchalant execution of the character that just is kind of likable, as opposed to him being like over the top boisterous, always going ho ho ho, Merry Christmas all the time.
Let's see. No, Kevin Hart doing a coked up Santa would be hilarious. Yes, that would be pretty funny.
I watch it. Okay. I mean, yeah, there are parody versions that are funny enough to watch in their own right, like Arnold Schwarzenegger beating up a whole bunch of con men Santa Claus. That's always funny. Jingle All the Way reference, everybody.
Yeah, the Jingle All the Way reference. I love there's a parody of that. If Jingle All the Way came out this year. Oh no, how do I get the Turbo Man? He just goes on to Amazon and clicks Turbo Man. Movie over.
Yeah. Speaking of Santa Claus movies, have you ever seen Klaus?
Yes, actually, I thought that was pretty good.
Pre-2020 and pre-Cuties controversy, I've of course had a Netflix myself, and I watched that 2019 or 2018, whatever it was, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good too. The execution of Santa Claus there being a jaded asshole-ish. Well, he isn't even so much of an asshole. No, that's Violent Night. Violent Night Santa Claus was jaded asshole, whereas Klaus was jaded, but not so much an asshole. And he's jaded because of what was it? The loss of his family, the loss of his wife and kid.
Well, his backstory was he built a bunch of toys with his wife because he expected them to have kids, but then they never had any, and she ended up dying. So he had all these toys that he didn't know where to give. So he basically decided when he was getting those letters to start delivering them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. It also had somebody pointed out that the main character, I can't even remember his name, the guy who plays as the son of the Postmaster General guy, that he has a kind of a Cusco Emperor's New Groove kind of character arc of his own.
He kind of does, but it kind of annoys me that everyone gets angry at him when they find out that he did it all for personal benefit. I'm like, so fucking what? He made literally everything in your town better. So what if he personally benefited from it? You benefited too.
You know what would have been better is if there was a little bit more of a nonchalant execution. It's like somebody finds out, oh, you're doing this only for your own personal benefit, and it's all like, yeah. And then the other people are like, huh, okay, and just went about regular business, still working alongside with him, but they just have only the slightest bit of change about the guy's opinion. Like they first had the impression he's doing it completely out of selflessness, then they find out he's actually doing it just entirely for his own personal benefit, and they don't disassociate from him, but they're just all like, maybe I should have a few minor second thoughts about this guy, and maybe that could have been developed a lot.
Everything in the town got better because of his actions. So, even if it was for his own personal benefits, so fucking what?
Yeah. Kind of reminds me back on a controversy that you and I were kind of reeled up into about 6 years ago, in a way. It's like somebody criticized you for something oh, you're just doing it for attention, and you're just all like, so if that's a side benefit, so what?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, if attention comes with it, cool, no bad deal.
Yeah.
Well, it's a stupid argument, and it's stupid for them to be angry at him as he was doing it for his when he made everything better.
Yeah, I gotta say, if I had to do my own personal Christmas ranking, as much as it might hurt you to hear this, Loudmouth, Damn. Okay, never mind. That was a non-local number. Might be just wasting my time. But anyway, as much as it might hurt you to hear this loudmouth, I still would have to put Grinch a kind of high-ish up there because I find the Grinch that much entertaining. Plus, there's the heart and core of the message around that movie. I mean, yeah, I understand the criticisms that people have with the unfaithfulness of that adaptation, some aspects of it, anyways. Though I will have to admit, if I gave Klaus a rewatching, maybe I'd like rank it above above this. Violent Night. I might actually like Violent Night slightly more than Grinch. And of course, the Santa Claus, Tim Allen's Santa Claus, is my number 2 pick, but my number 1 pick would have to be It's a Wonderful Life. How would you like? Of course, Polar Express is somewhere in top 10.
To be honest,
What?
I haven't seen Violent Night.
Oh, it's pretty good. Like it's a pretty dumb action flick, popcorn eating action flick kind of movie. It's like an almost dumber version of Die Hard, but with Santa Claus in place of John McClane, and it takes place at a mansion instead of a skyscraper. And there's some aspect of Home Alone kind of sprinkled in there for good measure. There's like some entertaining.
There's a fun Babylon Bee headline that said Soros-backed prosecutors are going to prosecute Illinois' boy for terrorizing burglars.
Oh yeah, Mike McAllister. Let's put him in jail now.
That actually is really funny.
District Attorney Binger is going to go after Mike McAllister now.
Yes, Binger's like, why didn't you let those burglars ransack your home? Were you trying to say something? Don't you think you're inviting them their trouble by placing traps in your house in the first place?
Or some stupid shit like that. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, sometimes in Strauss would be like, sometimes you just need to take a beating. I mean, a 9-year-old kid being home alone is clearly inviting trouble.
I guess Home Alone I would have to rank above Grinch as well. Movies like Fred Claus and even Elf, for that matter, I would put somewhere below the Grinch personally. The live action Grinch. I like Grinch better than All Dogs Christmas Carol. I don't think you'll really argue with that very much, Loudmouth.
Why are you even bringing that shit up? That's just that movie's like a infantile, non-existent movie.
Hey, I grew up with it. I mean, that's the biggest reason why. I don't know how many times I've watched it, but I've watched it quite a handful of times in my childhood. Do I want to revisit it? No, I do not. I'm a little bit too mature for that at this point, but still.
Right, but I mean, I pretty much when it comes to Don Bluth movies, I'm pretty much all opposed to most of the direct-to-video outings that other people have made based on his movies.
Right. So as opposed to like Watch Mojo's ranking of best Christmas movies, what would have to be your? Let's start with something small, like top 5. If you cannot think of a top 10 list, what would be your top 5 favorite Christmas movies?
Does Die Hard count? I don't know.
No, yeah, we'll count it for the sake of this argument. I mean, I'm not one of those anti-Die Hard as a Christmas movie opinion type of people.
Yeah, I guess It's a Wonderful Life, then Die Hard, and then what else? What's another good one?
Miracle on 34th Street, maybe.
No, I don't know, man. I haven't really thought about it.
Home Alone, maybe.
I liked Home Alone. Grew up a lot on the Rankin Bass Christmas specials when I was a kid.
Rankin Bass. Isn't that the guy who like made the who did an adaptation of The Return of the King?
Yeah, he did, and he made a lot of stop motion animation Christmas specials. And mostly, it's amazing how good natured they are, and adulthood has made you jaded. Like for example, in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, there's a scene where this old winter warlock kidnaps the young Santa Claus, and basically he responds by basically giving him a toy, and the gift of the toy basically melts his heart, and he goes from bad to good, and they become friends. Wouldn't it be awesome if the real world worked like that, man? Wouldn't it be awesome if I could just walk into the Kremlin and give Vladimir Putin a toy, and him being like, a toy? No one's bought me a toy before. That's it. You've melted my heart. I'm pulling all my troops out of Ukraine.
Right. Um,
I mean,
what
if
about Polar
only,
Express? Would Polar
only it worked
Express be in your top 10 or something?
out. I don't know, because the Polar Express, I love the way it portrays the North Pole, but the uncanny valley effect on the animation just makes
Yeah.
the movie kind of unpleasant at times.
I will say Polar Express is definitely weak in the story department. That's
Well,
my
I think it
adult
actually
brain
works in the
speaking for.
story department because it's meant to be a simple story. It doesn't really. It's based on a short children's book, and it kind of, and it really doesn't need a complex story. It's about kids who like go on a magical train at night, 5 minutes to midnight on Christmas, and go meet Santa Claus, which does have the disturbing message that if a stranger comes to your street and says, "Hey, I'm take you to meet Santa Claus," you should get in his vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the main reason as to why I think it's kind of story weak is because the main character arc is the one hero boy, as I guess he's called in the
He doesn't have a
character
name.
lineup.
He has no name.
Yeah, he has no name. He's just referred to as Hero Boy, is all.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Only one of the kids
His
has a name.
character arc is supposed to be that he needs to learn how to believe in Santa Claus, and it just seems kind of weak to me.
Right. Yeah, only the kid Billy has a name. All the other kids on there, none of them have names. The the little black girl, she has no name. The like know-it-all kid, he has no name. Yeah,
Oh
no one.
man, the know-it-all kid. On most recent rewatch, I just want to punt that motherfucker.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's probably the worst part of the movie, just because it's obvious that he's not actually a kid. You're hearing a guy.
Such a little shit.
Yeah, I'm like, it's obvious you're listening to a guy who's well into his 30s, pretending to be a kid.
This is like one of those dark fan theories. The know-it-all kid, in all reality, is an adult. Is a midget.
Right. Yes, Dexter, I can read your mind, and I am smarter than you. Because it's the same guy who voiced up Mandark in Dexter's Lab. I don't know if you watched that. It was a fun cartoon from the 90s.
Right, I've seen a few episodes of Dexter's Lab back in the day,
Yeah, it was a good show. I remember that one.
and Mandark. Actually, now that you mention it, the know-it-all kid from Polar Express is basically a blonde-headed version of Mandark, except
Essentially,
not
yeah,
as competent.
which is weird. And I'd probably say he's probably the worst thing about that whole movie.
Agreed. I
Well,
gotta say the Tom
but like
Hanks
I
as the
said before,
conductor and as the hobo ghost were like some of the better characters in my opinion.
oh yeah,
At least
yeah, Tom Hanks
more
character.
entertaining to watch.
Yeah, taking as far as movies that have made a short children's book into a full-length movie, that's definitely one of the better ones. It's not the best one, but I think it did a much better job than any of the Seuss movies did.
Yeah.
Like, I'd say the movie that did the best job would be 2009's Where the Wild Things Are, which was an excellent movie.
That was based off of a child's book.
Yeah, book from the 50s. I wrote it as a kid. Don't go, I'll eat you up. I love you so.
I guess I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's a great movie, and it managed to take a short story and make it into a full-length movie and do a really damn good job at it. What's really great about that movie was that it was incredibly dark. It felt like less a children's movie and more a movie about childhood and leaving childhood behind.
Yeah.
Like like the monsters, they kind of look semi like Sesame Street characters, but there's kind of like a creepiness of the moments when they lose their temper, and it's meant to be like a metaphor for parenthood because Max, who kind of was like a bratty kid to his mom, ends up being kind of a parental figure to these monsters who have kind of the personalities of children, and obviously children are not always well behaved.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. We haven't really talked about Home Alone 2, I don't think, have we?
The one where Trump's in.
Oh yeah. I gotta say, I agree that Home Alone 2 is basically just a repeat version of the first one, so therefore it's not quite as good. But the one saving grace about Home Alone 2 is Tim fucking Curry.
Right.
Tim Curry always makes things better with his presence. And Red Feather
he was
mentions,
Doctor Savarius and Gargoyles, and and so you hear that they're Disney says they're making a live action Gargoyles.
Okay.
I'm, I if that had been announced 10 years ago, I'd be ecstatic about it, but I don't trust modern Disney not to fuck it up.
Yeah, that's my thought too.
Yeah,
And to address Red Feather, yeah, the homeless pigeon lady, she was a nice, charming character, but I'm kind of annoyed about how she doesn't have a name. She's about as nameless as most of the characters in Polar Express.
right.
There's a fucking 4 Home Alones. You're wrong, Red Feather. There's actually 5 Home Alones. Two
Yeah,
of
they
them
made
were.
one recently. Didn't they have like one of the bully kids like grew up to be a cop in one of the recent ones?
I don't know. I never really cared to watch any Home Alones past the second one.
Right. Yeah, it was like a big hit when it first came out in 1990.
A Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation, The Smurfs Christmas Claymation Christmas.
Yeah, so Christmas Vacation is an absolute that's a masterpiece. That movie, that's the funniest Christmas movie ever made. I'll give it that one.
Yeah, Christmas Vacation. That was National Lampoon, right?
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. I mean, just kind of how everything goes wrong.
I still have yet to have watched that myself.
Yeah, though it's another comedy that has horrific violence against animals as a comedic device. The tree gets burnt when the cat is playing with the wires, and the cat just burns to death, and the whole tree goes up with it. I'm like, holy shit, this is dark. But it's a comedy, and comedy is rooted in pain, so bad things have to happen. And then the squirrel gets in the house, and the Rottweiler destroys the entire fucking house trying to get it, which is hilarious because anyone who has a large dog, if a squirrel gets in the house, your house is destroyed.
Yeah. Make your house squirrel impervious.
Oh, yeah, because the dog will try to get it. That is so accurate.
On the subject of Christmas movies, actually, have you ever seen, and also speaking of sequels and Tim Curry, have you ever seen the Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Magical Christmas, or Enchanted Christmas, or something like that?
Yeah, it sucks.
I can agree, especially watching other people's reviews of it, but Tim Curry was, like I said before, Tim Curry was the only good thing about it.
Yeah, he voices a lot of cartoon villains, doesn't he?
Yep. And another thing about actually, have you seen that one movie have you watched that one video that I showed you by a guy named Just Stop, where he goes ranking all the Don Bluth movies?
I don't remember. Maybe I did.
I linked it to you, and
I'd
he
rank the Don
ranks.
Bluth movies. Number 1 would be Secret of Nim. Number 2 would be Land Before Time. 3 probably American Tail, and then 4 All Dogs Go to Heaven. They just kind of petered off in the 90s.
Where would you place Anastasia?
Better than a Troll in Central Park, I guess.
Oh, only that good?
Or better than Rock-a-Doodle. So I guess probably his best. It was probably his best movie in the 90s. That's just not saying much. Up against
it would have been 2000s actually, wouldn't it have?
No, that came out in 99.
Oh no, you're right. I think I have searched that up once before, and yeah. Still better. It's still better than both Thumbelina and Titan AE, though, right?
Yeah, I think Titan AE might be a little better. It's kind of weird that his last movie was like a science fiction movie.
Yeah. I never hated Titan AE, although I do think I have a little bit more of a likeness to Anastasia. She's slightly more charming, and characters more.
I mean, it kind of butchers history so much. It's similar to kind of Disney's Pocahontas. It's kind of annoying that way.
I think the story behind that was that it's based off of a myth / legend / rumor about Anastasia and the Romanovs still being alive throughout the.
Yeah, but it was a rumor that was totally not true. And it's
Yeah,
the real
that's a funny
Anastasia
thing.
sadly
That-
was
that-
brutally murdered as a child by the fucking communists.
That's a funny thing. Don Bluth got the idea of making a movie based off of that rumor, and right before he the movie was put in production, or right before it was released, something like that. It was something that in the time of it being made, that rumor got debunked, and it's like, well, shit. Well, we went this far, might as well just continue on with it still.
Yeah, a girl who was brutally murdered as a child by the communists kind of makes that whole movie in kind of bad taste.
Maybe. Although I think it would have been it was a nice idea though. Just imagine a world of where that Don Bluth got to make more loosely historical based artistic movies like Anastasia. Like who knows, maybe he makes like a musical version of I don't know, what's the name of the one lady that refused to sit in the back of the bus?
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks. Damn it, I feel like shit now. Imagine if he made like an artistic musical about Rosa Parks, or a musical about Joan of Arc, or something else like that. Imagine if DreamWorks still decided to do 2D animated movies and decided to do a freaking Samson or a Jesus movie in their own light, in the style of Prince of Egypt.
That would have been awesome. Yeah, it reminds me when animated movies were good. And now we got shit like Wish coming to theaters. Man,
Yeah.
like I'd say the quality gap between the Prince of Egypt and Disney's Wish is probably as great as the IQ gap between Albert Einstein and an amoeba.
Yeah. Troll in Central Park was weird. The troll got way too happy from getting a peck on the cheek from that little girl.
Yeah, that was definitely Don Bluth's worst movie, and it was a big box office flop too. It like made almost no money.
I don't remember much about it. All I remember about it, vaguely from when I watched it, was that it was so fucking bad. Probably the only thing that I really liked about it was the one part of where that they are like trying to escape the one pirate ship that the little boy imagines up in his head. That's probably about it. And the troll is all like, "That's a dream? That's more like a nightmare." It's like, dude, little boys dream of glorious adventures. That's boys being boys. And it was the best part of the movie from what I vaguely remember. But aside from that, it was so boring and such a disgusting happy fest. Like, I remember that one guy reviewing Don Bluth movies, he said if there was any movie that made you want to go out and start murdering and torturing puppies, it would be this movie. Like, it's that disgustingly
weird that Bluth would make something that was like that sappy and happy-go-lucky, because like his 80s movies were kind of known for having a darker, edgier tone than Disney's.
Yeah.
Like Secret of Nim is a pretty dark movie.
I
like
do
the
have
way
to say,
it was a movie made to scare children, and I love that about it.
I do have to say that I personally have a soft spot for Pebble and the Penguin. Mostly because I really found Rocco the Rock Hopper entertaining, and Drake, played by of course, Tim Curry, entertaining as always. And not to mention the whale scene. The one scene where that both Rocco and God, I cannot remember the one main penguin's name. Rocco and the main penguin, they're trying to escape the killer whales. That scene was pretty intense for a Don Bluth 2D animated scene, even though some of the shots were like repeats, were like reused shots. Hubie, yeah, thank you, Derpy Redneck. That was his name, Hubie. Hubie and Rocco trying to escape the killer whales. That was a pretty well executed scene. And
yeah, I guess, but I'm not. That movie's just okay. Like even as a kid, I didn't really like it that much.
I gotcha. I mean, it's still not as good as Anastasia or All Dogs, the first one, or Secret of Nim, or any of the greats of Don's 80s career.
Land Before Time was like a one I watched a lot as a kid, though. It definitely made forget Jurassic Park. I mean, that movie is the scariest Tyrannosaur. That Tyrannosaur could like violate the fucking laws of physics and fly through the air. How does that thing survive all the shit it's put through in that movie?
What are you talking about in Land Before Time?
Yeah, the shark tooth. It survives getting getting slacked by sauropod into a rock. It basically isn't even phased by that and just flies through the freaking air, defying gravity to kill her, get on its back, and kills the shit out of her. Then it falls hundreds of feet down a canyon on its face, still survives.
Yeah. That's the mastery of Don Bluth. He can make a entertaining or an intimidating villain when he really wants to.
Yeah, and I like that kind of like it doesn't speak, so it wasn't even a villain. It was just a monster that was just determined to kill everything around it.
I do gotta say that Carface, he was kind of a normal villain. He wasn't like some magical entity or anything like that. But I always thought that Carface, especially in the original All Dogs movie, he was always entertaining in his kind of nonchalant crime boss kind of way.
Right, and him being called Carface, obviously a reference to Scarface. So yeah,
Right.
right.
Oh man, reading freaking Derpy Redneck. Land Before Time has what 13 or 14 sequels? Jesus
Something like that.
Christ!
Yeah,
And an animated series too.
Yeah.
I think the series should have ended when that voice actress of Ducky was murdered. Here.
100%. That's the biggest reason that there never should have been any sequels.
Yeah,
because I thought it was very disrespectful recasting Ducky after what happened.
So it should have never been expanded on from the first movie, basically. Yeah,
pretty much the first movie worked fine on its own. That's all we really needed.
Yeah,
it ends on a conclusive note. It says that, and they all grew up together in the valley, generation after generation, each passing along to the next the tale of their ancestors' journey to the valley long ago.
Yeah.
So,
let the fan theory sequels flow, not the overly pandery, money suckling sequels made by Steven Spielberg's animation company or whatever the fuck made it.
Yeah, you see like several dinosaurs all hug each other that all lived in different geological periods separated by tens of millions of years.
Oh yeah, of course. A movie has to take some artistic liberties to make it. I say that, and yet I say that kind of hypocritically because that one of the problems that people have with Rings of Power is because it incorporates a proto hobbits called Harfoots because hey, Lord of the Rings is not Lord of the Rings without hobbits, and yet people go saying no, Lord of the Rings can be Lord of the Rings without hobbits. In fact, the disfaithfulness that you have by trying to include hobbits just sucks you out of the ancient history of the Silmarillion, and on top of it being unfaithful.
But like anyway. You see like a Stegosaurus and a Triceratops hugging each other at the end, but like Triceratops actually lived closer to modern times than it did to Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus was extinct 75 million years before Triceratops evolved.
Gotcha.
It shows just how vast that period of time was that the dinosaurs ruled. 135 million years.
Wow. You know, that goes make me think of almost of Many Tomorrows level of epicness. Have you ever heard of the one sci-fi novel, Many Tomorrows?
All Tomorrows?
Yeah. Like you have all these different descendants of humanity that go existing for like millions upon millions of years as galactic superpowers, and it's just it's a really grand history that novel puts forth. I only listened to like a video that summarizes a lot of the books in 40 to 50 minutes. I haven't actually read the books myself.
Yeah, but it kind of just shows like how vast like prehistory it is. Like the planet we live on, if sharks have been around for 440 million years, that is correct. Yeah. Unimaginably long period of time.
Yep.
And we only know the whole fossil record we have is only like 0.1% of all the species that have ever lived. We don't even know of the vast majority of things that lived on this planet because they didn't leave behind any fossils.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe right before the time of the dinosaurs, there was an alien race that was trying to scavenge up every bit of fossil record of some other alien species or species, excuse me, in general, that used to exist on Earth, but they wanted to like clean up all remaining evidence of that
That's the thing,
species
though.
on Earth.
It is entirely possible that there could have been like an intelligent civilization on this planet, pre-humans, that vanished eons ago and left no evidence of its existence. There's obviously no proof, no real evidence of that, but it's entirely possible, given how incomplete the fossil record is.
Yeah.
Let's say there was a type of dinosaur 100 million years ago that was as advanced as ancient Rome, like had art and buildings, concrete, and other things. It could theoretically have vanished and leave no trace today.
So the thing that Jurassic Park was trying to build up to, that being super smart raptors, would have existed long before.
Well, like I said, though, there's no evidence of such a thing, and more likely than not, no such thing existed. But it's theoretically possible, is what I'm saying. Not that it's likely, or I personally don't think there ever was.
I hear you. You don't actually believe it. Kind of like how Derpy Redneck is saying, it's also possible that multiverse theory is a strong theory and time travels could have existed too.
I'd say that's less likely.
Even though there's no actual evidence for it. And yeah, none of us.
Yeah, I wasn't proposing that that's a likely possibility. I'm just saying that with how incomplete the vast record is, it's not impossible.
Yeah, there is although I will say, as far as time travel theories go, that I do find it odd that there is like a black and white 30s picture of where there's a picture of a crowd. All of them are like synonymously dressed in similar ways that people in the 30s would have dressed, except for one dude that you pick out of the crowd. He has like a comb back hair that looks like it might have been from 90s or even 2000s, and he's wearing sunglasses as well that are obvious of modern design, and a jacket blazer or something like that. And it's like that almost I mean, I guess it's possible that there would have been like some super duper niche styles back in those days.
Yeah,
that, would only become popular until like 50 or 80 years later, but still, it makes
you got to do Occam's razor on that one. The simplest explanation is far likely to be the correct one. What's the simplest explanation for that? Yeah, if there's an alternative hypothesis that's more rational, then that's the one that's most likely.
All right.
And not to mention, you can't really trust old photos anymore with AI generations. And that's a scary world we're entering, because we're entering a world where artificial intelligence will be so advanced that it can generate anything, and it'll basically be able to like create a whole bunch of misinformation about the past.
Yeah.
And that could mean the end of the movie industry in a couple decades, because AI could get so advanced soon within our lifetime that it could just generate entire movies.
No need for filmmakers. Though there is like the counter argument that some people propose that AI doesn't generate anything new; it just generates like inferior copy paste of other properties, or a mishmash of copy paste of elements from other properties.
That may be true, but it's also true that all human creative expression also copy and pastes past works that the artist has seen. For example, the original Star Wars is not a clean slate. It's based on a lot of. It took artistic inspiration from a lot of older properties, Flash Gordon and what have you.
Yeah. Although a person has to wonder, like, can an AI actually make a very cohesive, like, piece of property that takes elements from past properties, in the same way that George Lucas took inspiration from old World War II movies or Flash Gordon or samurai movies?
Technology is advancing at such a rapid rate. Who knows what it'll be in a decade? Who knows what it'll be in just a few years?
Who knows? And especially if people's taste and opinion of movies keeps on devolving as well. Like
Right.
there are people who actually like Wish, or actually like Barbie, or actually think that Elf is a better movie than It's a Wonderful Life.
Right. But I'm saying there could be like a day in like a decade or two from now, you'll go onto your computer and say, make a movie where on early 2000s Scarlett Johansson is stranded on Mars and she fights off a group of zombies. Make the movie rated R, make it roughly 90 minutes in length, give or take a few, and then just click enter, and then within a few minutes, the AI will just have made that movie. That actually could be the case someday. Like it's kind of scary to think about, because because any AI that could do such a thing would have to have some level of conscious intelligence, and it scares me what we're creating with this.
Yeah.
How will a machine react to being being self-aware of its existence?
I don't know if you want to like address this.
AI
fear
fear-mongering
mongering.
left. I'm pretty much in favor of starting a Butlerian jihad. I really think this technology is increasing at a dangerous rate, and I really do think it could potentially be very dangerous. A self-aware AI could fuck up our society in so many different ways. Let's say it puts out misinformation that a war's broken out that make people believe it, and people start fighting for real. Or it could go into the stock market and start fucking up stocks, go into people's bank accounts. Since a lot of our wealth is just ones and zeros in cyberspace, it could just take money from one person's account and put it in other people's randomly. So many ways it could just mess up civilization.
I don't know. I'm not quite there yet, because AI is still, in the grand scheme of things, too stupid to like do anything much of anything proficiently. Can't
Right
make
now it is, but I mean, compare like a video game today from a video game 30 years ago, man.
Sorry, what?
Like compare the visuals in a video game today versus one from 30 years ago. Look how much more complex they can be. Right.
Yeah, I guess to address, no, Loudmouth is right about the current AI's potential already being here. Okay. The whole self-aware concept is merely hypothesis, and there are too many issues with the philosophies of science and mind that need solving before that can be even addressed. Before what can even be addressed,
whether an AI could truly be self-aware. And my biggest issue though with current AI companies is essentially their entire business is based on theft. They steal other people's data, and they have their AIs kind of mix it together and they sell it back to people. Most like ChatGPT and other like Midjourney and other image and text generators. They basically put entire human works that are often copyrighted into them, and it detects patterns and it spits out similar information.
If we were to like get rid of AI entirely, though, the thing is, wouldn't that mean that you and I wouldn't be able to have this video call, or be able to do much of movie editing or anything else like that?
Possibly, but one thing I think we can do right away is that no model should be allowed to use any copyrighted information in its data set without permission of the copyright holder. Putting a copyrighted data into these data sets is not fair use. Fair use is meant to protect human creative expression. It was never intended to allow people's copyrighted works to be fed into a machine and have it spit out similar copies.
I will say one thing: if AI was done away with entirely, I wouldn't be able to play RTS games like I do. I would not have AI players to play against.
Well, I mostly say Butlerian jihad is a slight bit of a joke, but I do think the technology needs to be regulated heavily, and we can't just be pitting the gas on this without thinking of the consequences.
All right. Oh, which I'm not like entirely against or anything like that. It's just these are always like interesting conversations to have with you and just in general.
Yeah. But
So, what's some of the
go
go on?
ahead.
Well, I was gonna like kind of shift it to more uplifting topics. Like, what's a most recent like Christmas movie that you've watched? New Christmas movie.
New Christmas movie.
New to you specifically, I guess.
Let's see. New to me. I barely even remember. Oh, I saw Krampus actually. That that came a few years ago. I just saw it this year, and I kind of liked it. It was an interesting take having a Christmas horror movie.
That was in 2019, wasn't it released?
2015.
2015. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it myself. Maybe I ought to check it out sometime. What was your thoughts on the claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
What, the one from '64?
Yeah, I
I
believe
grew
that
up
was
on
it.
that shit, man. It was awesome.
I mean, I thought it was charming, but I don't know. I've always remembered being kind of slightly bored by it. I guess it was just a little bit too slow for me personally, and
We're
might
a
be
couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits. What's the matter with misfits? That's where we fit in.
yeah, and I never found the music like you go singing that song, and I've never really found the music that charming or catchy or entertaining. Am I right? Like I don't know. This is just purely my opinion.
We may be different from the rest, but who decides the test of what is really best?
I mean, I personally find a little bit more attachment to the soundtracks of Santa Claus, the Santa Claus, or even Jingle All the Way. Even though a good chunk of both those soundtracks are like copyrighted music. Like you have freaking Tom Petty's Christmas Time All Over Again playing at one part in Jingle All the Way,
Right.
for example. Not to mention a whole bunch of other '60s rockabilly songs that go playing in that. Although there is, like going towards the end of that movie of where that they have the one guitar playing at the parade. I believe that might be an original piece that was made for the sake of Jingle All the Way.
Right.
That was a kind of cool piece. Not to mention the the song that plays in the Santa Claus movie, one that Scott Calvin and Charlie are about to be descended into the North Pole.
Uh-huh.
You getting tired, Loudmouth?
No.
No, okay. I don't know. The energy just seems to be going down on the video call here.
It was it similar. He says not likely we can already do as is. The problem is the software types we have are overtly monopolized through copyright laws and charging excessively high prices. I'm okay with that because I don't think everyone's personal information and personal data should just be like free for AI companies to just do whatever the fuck they want with it. They really should be regulated. Similar to how copyright and AP are used to monopolize and regulate albendazole to keep people from deworming themselves twice. I mean, patents are a very important part of the Constitution. People again need to be able to profit off their inventions. That was very important. I kind of agree that copyrights do last longer than the Constitution originally intended them to, but that's how it is. People live longer than they used to. But what's awesome is Mickey Mouse will be in the public domain in 2 days.
Oh, that's cool. Now we can have a Mickey Mouse blood and I don't know. We can have some kind of Winnie the Pooh blood and honey equivalent to Mickey Mouse. Or Mickey Mouse
I know it's
equivalent
gonna
to
be. It'll be called Steamboat Willie. All right, you'll have that whistle from it to kind of make it eerie, and it'll be about these kids who try to rescue someone from the Reedy Creek. They need to mention this is in Reedy Creek. Though the Winnie the Pooh horror movie was such a missed opportunity. It should have been filled with jokes about China, but they missed that opportunity.
I gotta say, have you ever seen Dubus Goobus from YouTube?
Dubus Goobus, I don't think so.
He's a cartoon animator, kind of in the same way of Flash Gets, one of those comedy animators on YouTube.
Right.
He has his own art style, and he's done like a series of Winnie the Pooh cartoons. I'm gonna close that Facebook notification I just got. The first one was of where that Winnie the Pooh was just wanted to get some honey from the store, and he could not buy it because he had no money. And then he just, with his own sweetness and charm, he goads like everybody to just kind of buckle to his will through just unintentionally, actually.
Yeah.
He's just so likable that nobody can really go against him. The next one is he's the manager of a company. The next one, he is elected president of the United States, and Dubus Goobus, who is like the green character that he kind of uses as a bit of a self-insert in all of his cartoons. He goes through some of the issues with President Pooh, and he goes abortion, and Winnie Pooh is like, "What's that? Is there something matter? Pooh, I do not know of how I can explain this issue without completely ruining your innocence. What's innocence? We're just going to move on. Is that okay? Sure thing. Oh, thank God."
Right. I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, these copyrighted characters can already be used, even if they don't enter the public domain, as long as you make it a parody. Like the South Park version of Mickey is a great example.
Right.
Yeah,
the most recent thing that
was fucking hilarious. They have Mickey fucking a bat in Wuhan and causing the coronavirus outbreak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a bat. It's a mouse with wings. Ha! That was great.
So, Mickey, you say you want to divorce your wife because she's really crazy? No, I want to divorce my wife because she's fucking goofy.
That's great. That is fucking great.
Yeah.
Well, though it's worth noting when it comes to Mickey being in the public domain, it'll only be the Steamboat Willie version from the original cartoon. Later versions of Mickey won't be public domain for a while.
Yeah. Speaking of Mickey Mouse and reverting it back to Christmas, what do you think of the Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol?
It's a cute little story from the 80s.
It's only 40 minutes long, right?
No, it's 25 minutes long.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and of course...
It was theatrically released. It was attached to I think when they re-released some other older Disney movie, they just kind of attached that as a bonus. So people would see that first and then see an older Disney movie after.
Yeah. And of course, we cannot forget that it gave us the American icon, that being Scrooge McDuck, for the sake of the DuckTales series.
Actually, no, that character existed in comics long before that, but that was the first time the voice actor who would voice him in the cartoon voiced the character.
A Scottish Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, I forgot his last name. Shit, I remember his first name was Alan. He was a good voice actor. He voiced a lot of good stuff back in the 80s.
Actually, what would be your favorite Christmas Carol adaptation?
Probably the George C. Scott version, just because I'm a fan of George C. Scott.
George C. Scott. That's one of an actor from the 60s, right?
This one came out in the 80s.
Okay.
It was made for television, but it was shot on film, so it has gotten a Blu-ray release.
I'm trying to remember George C. Scott. What are some other roles that he's played? The name sounds very familiar.
He was Patton?
Oh yeah, and he also played a role in Doctor Strangelove as well, I believe.
Oh yeah, that movie's a classic. I wish we had one of them doomsday devices.
Right. Yeah, he played as Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah. He was also the villain in The Rescuers Down Under. He was McLeish in that one.
Oh, yeah. Wait, how long did that old geezer live to be?
I don't think he was that old. I think he died in the late 90s. I think he was only like in his 70s.
Okay. Um, would George C. Scott also have to be your favorite version of the titular Ebenezer Scrooge?
Yeah, but then again, the dialogue did kind of differ from the book a little bit more. The dialogue wise, the 2009 one is closer to the book than the George C. Scott version. But I just kind of like George C. Scott as an actor.
Gotcha. How about Michael Caine? Like, how would he rank?
Oh, he would rank very high. He's a fantastic actor. It's kind of a shame that he only got to play Scrooge in the Muppet version because he could have played Scrooge in a very legit version.
Yeah.
Nothing against the Muppet version; it's fun, it's cute, but it's not really a legit adaptation.
Yeah, I do gotta say, I like Michael Caine as an actor, and he did a pretty good job as Scrooge in his own right. But I've always found like Patrick Stewart's Scrooge to be a little bit more on the creepy and intimidating side of as far as Scrooge iterations and interpretations go. Like, there's just something about Patrick Stewart's like deeper, gruffer voice that adds a little bit more of an intimidation aspect to the Scrooge character.
Well, Patrick Stewart is an actor who could read a phone book and make it meaningful. He's just had that quality.
Yeah. Um.
Well,
What is it about?
I mean, when he's like, aren't there no prisons? Aren't there no workhouses? But someone don't want to live there. Oh, don't worry, they were only slaves.
Yeah. Put the slaves in the workhouses and in the prisons.
Yes, he delivers
Um,
cold-hearted lines very well, didn't he?
what is the thing that makes you dislike the Patrick Stewart version though?
I wouldn't say I dislike it. It just never. It just always felt kind of cheap, like a movie that didn't need to exist. I couldn't figure out why watch this version because there were previous ones that were better.
Understandable. And I guess in the grand scheme of things, I haven't seen like that many Christmas Carol iterations to really judge and do a full like personal ranking as
There's
far as
also a
where's my
great one
favorite one.
released in 1951. I forgot the actor who played him there, but that one's also really fantastic.
Yeah. I might have actually seen the George C. Scott version once before in my life, but it would have been like so many years ago, I can barely remember it. But the ones that I remember the most is the Patrick Stewart version, the Michael Caine Muppets version, of course, Jim Carrey, the 2009 version, the All Dogs Christmas Carol, um, which I would have to say at least is like second worst as far as Christmas carols go, right above that of the 2009 Christmas Carol. Of course, that's just me, anyways. But Muppets, Michael Caine, Patrick Stewart, all far superior as far as ones that I have seen. Oh, and of course the Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol. That's one that is far better than the All Dogs and the Jim Carrey Christmas carols.
It's your whose grave is this? It's yours, Scrooge. The
Yeah,
richest man in the cemetery.
freaking Pete taking off his cloak and being like, "Why, it's yours, Scrooge."
Yeah, Peg Leg Pete. Kind of like it's kind of in vague of what kind of animal Pete is even supposed to be. In various like cartoon iterations, sometimes he's more of a bear, sometimes he's more like of a dog, sometimes he's more of a cat.
Check the map, goof.
Yeah, what animal is Pete actually supposed to be?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's inconsistent across his iterations.
Yeah. I think I am actually getting to the point of where I want to like end the live stream. We've been going on 2.5 hours and
All right,
we're
good
running out of
chatting
stuff
with
to talk about and we're running low on energy. Was there anything else that you wanted to say though?
you. Happy New Year.
Right. And just to reiterate, It's a Wonderful Life is like your personal number one favorite Christmas movie.
Of course.
All right, and I have to agree. Well, it's definitely the number one best in my book. although kind of neck to neck on whether I rank it as my personal favorite with Tim Allen's Santa Claus. But that's just kind of my childhood nostalgia speaking to me. And also, like, as I've grown older, I've grown to appreciate Santa Claus in more of a mature manner of the movie, too, for reasons that I think I've explained to you before.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. Thank you all for watching, even though there's only one person watching right now. It's probably me, but for all the 5 or 6 people that I've watched in the past, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for who will watch, possibly, maybe, even though this is 2.5 hours long. And everybody have a happy New Year, happy holidays, and stay safe out there.
The FBI will watch us, so we got at least that viewer.
Oh, yeah. Hi, FBI. Please don't investigate me for the fact that I voted for Trump in just 2020. Oops, I outed myself.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, take care, everybody, and God bless.
All right, bye-bye.